Something like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's channel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like button because this is where you're going to get the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button, and everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media, share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we're going to talk about a very, very interesting subject. Okay, a subject that needs to be addressed because there's a lot of stuff out there, as you know, that blinds certain people from seeing the real. And we're going to deal with the fact that Black women have never been strong. Okay. Yes, that's what I said, y'all. Black women have never been strong. And you know what? I noticed this can be a little bit controversial for some folks because you're always hearing about these strong, independent Black women that don't need no man. Yeah, they lying. They ain't never been strong. But before I really get into that, let me take a quick pause and give a special shout out to people who help make things happen around here the way that they do. Now, y'all, I do appreciate everybody who gives me views because they are important. I also appreciate everybody who hits that like button. Y'all don't know how critical that like button is. So make sure you hit that like button on every video. It doesn't make a difference how old the stream is. Hit the like button anyway. Okay. And, for those who give comments after the streams, much appreciated. Much appreciated. Okay. And also, I got to say, shout out to the people who step up financially and become financial contributors to the channel. Because, of course, these are very important people and I can't do things the same way without them. So shout out to everyone who steps up to do that. And I got to say, shout out to the sponsor of today's stream. Okay. Ramon. Okay. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if it's Ramon or Ramon, but shout out to Ramon. He is a financial contributor, been rocking with me for a good little period of time now. You know, lost a few channels, y'all. Got a channel back. Ramon didn't show back up. So shout out to that brother. Shout out to that brother. Appreciate it. You are the sponsor of today's stream. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. And let me get some shout outs to some of the first people to check in this morning. Okay, some of the first people to check in it's always great that when you start a stream, you see a few people checking in, y'all. And it's hard to beat it, y'all, because I do know if you come in too early, it ain't gonna work for you. But if you come in too late, it ain't gonna work for you. But we like to call the first person in the building around this joint Highlander of the stream. So shout out to the Highlander of today's stream, the one, the only, the smooth hombre, Chef Mike's Roundtable. He is the Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to that man. Shout out to that man. This is our pit master who helped keep things in order, y'all. He will snatch your soup. Keep messing around. He will snatch your soup. Okay. But come on in and get some soup. Just don't make him snatch it, okay? Shout out to Trail Billy. I see him in the building. Great to see you, brother. Great to see you. Always representing. Hashtag long live habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. Hashtag Hell Hydra. Great to see you. Great to see you. We got a ton of running in the house. Good to see you, brother. Floyd Thompson is here. Yay, yay. Inspired Truth Broadcast just pulled up a seat at the cool table. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Sarah B is checking in. Glad to see you, Sarah. Hey, Sarah. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. We got Patrick Saint in the house. What's going on, my brother? I ain't seen you in a while. We getting new people, y'all, and we getting old people back. So I feel good. Shout out to Patrick Saint. Gold P has checked in. Good to have you, my brother. The righteous teacher is touching down. What's happening? What's happening? Mr. Suge to you, the Saute Sheriff is in town. Hey, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate it. He said yesterday's show was fire. Hey, man, appreciate that, brother. That's what I'm always trying to bring y'all. Some fire. I'm always trying to bring y'all the fire. Real talk. Shout out to Irvin Reed. Great to have you, brother. Great to have you. Terenzo Jones back in the building again. Devon Townsend is here. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Red Black Expat Philippines is in the building. Good to have you, brother. Good to have you. Hero Angel. Interesting names y'all be having sometime. Hero Angel. Not just an angel. Hero Angel. Hey, shout out to you. I like it. I like it. Anthony Allen is in the building. What's happening, my brother? What's happening? Great to see you. Great to see you, y'all. Now, we're going to get right into this, y'all. We're going to deal with this thing about Black women being strong. Okay. Nowadays we've been hearing this slogan probably for a good 30 to 40 years at this point about the strong, independent Black woman that don't need no man. Okay. And a lot of people like to pretend, well, a lot of Black women like to pretend that Black women are strong. Okay. Now, it is crazy. Yes. It is off the loony being a little bit. Okay. Because you have a group of women and the main thing they want to be known for is their strength. Now, if you just think about that on his head, you should easily be able to come to the conclusion that that's just stupid. Why would a group of women want to be known as strong? You know, not a secondary thing, you know what I'm saying? Not some third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, or 10th down the line. No. They want that to be the primary thought you have about them. The primary thought about Black women that they want you to have is that they're strong. They're women and they're strong. Now, how many ways can I say that's stupid? Is it wrong for a woman to quote unquote be strong? It depends on what you mean. But real talk, if as a group of women, why would you want to be known as being strong before being anything else? Okay. And that's just some crazy work at the end of the day. You know the brainwashing you have to accept to want to be known as the strong women? Okay. That is not the most flattering thing when it comes to a woman. Now, any dude claiming they strong, hey, I get it. I get it. Guys want to be known as strong. We want to be known as we have the ability to do certain things. When tough stuff come up, we can handle it. I get it. That we're men. But we have women who wants to be known as strong before being known for anything else. It's almost an amazing feat that they've been conditioned to buy into something that's so stupid, but year in, year out, they keep accepting it. Year in, year out, they continue to accept it. Okay? Hey, that's on them at the end of the day. That's on them. Now, let's keep it real, y'all. Are black women strong? Okay, let's think about this. Are black women strong? Now, a lot of times when they refer to being strong, they talk about, I have to do this by myself. I have to do this by myself. You're a bunch of women that are unworthy of marriage, but you say you have to do it by yourself. That's interesting. See, when you think about that, that is interesting. Every woman is supposed to be showing men that they are valuable enough to marry, and they are valuable enough for a man to take on certain responsibilities that he has to take on when he has a wife. Black women have refused to show that they're valuable enough to marry, yet they complain they have to do things by themselves. Now, let's keep it real. You didn't really have to do anything by yourself. You chose to live a life where the context of your life means you got to do a lot of stuff by yourself. You want to be known as strong. You don't want to be known as complimentary. You don't want to be known as feminine. You don't want to be known as a potential asset to a man. You want to be known as strong, but you complain you got to do stuff by yourself. That don't make a whole lot of sense. Is that strength? What is that? Strength of mind? Is that what that's supposed to be? Is that supposed to be strength of mind? Okay. Now, the average black woman is not married. Okay. So they do not have a husband. Okay. Now, we all can say what we want to say about that, but the truth is they have not proven that they were worthy of a marriage. The men have spoken. Women will make some excuses and say, well, I tried to be with some men, and a lot of them even tell a lie about the fact that somebody proposed to them. Heck, some of them tell a lie so good, they bring in multiple men and say, well, no, multiple men have proposed to me. Multiple men have proposed to me. Okay. Yet, none of us seem to know any guy who proposed to a woman that he didn't marry. Ain't that interesting? Ain't that interesting? A bunch of women claim somebody proposed to him, yet I don't know any guy who proposed to a woman that he didn't marry. I don't know one. Ain't heard of one. Ain't bumped into one. I ain't even seen one on TV. Okay. None of us seem to know these guys. Okay. But let black women tell it. They've been getting proposals all day long. All day long. Now, a lot of them will claim, well, I was in a relationship with a man, but he just wasn't good enough to marry. Hence, all these proposals that nobody know about, that no one can verify. So you was with a man that was with you in a relationship that was strong enough for the man to be comfortable to propose, but then you said no because you weren't comfortable marrying a man that you've been rocking with so long that he was comfortable enough to propose. That's one heck of a story. That's all I'm gonna say. That is one heck of a story. But even if we accepted that nonsense to be true, then I would have to ask the question, well, why would you why would you be in a relationship rocking that hard with a man that he felt comfortable enough to propose in the first place? Why would you do that? Because that don't make sense. Because you know what that's not? That's not strength of mind. So I know women, they say they strong, but how? That's not strength of mind. Okay. Shout out to White Skin Man K. He said the most engaged at telling a lie, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But that's about what other engagement you talking about? The most engaged to go to an event, maybe, but the most no, they're not the most engaged. That's just a lie women tell. Okay, they're not the most engaged, because if they were, we would know some of the men attached, y'all. Some people would say, well, they don't talk to women that much. We talk to the brothers. We don't know no brothers proposing and got turned down. How many men do you know who proposed to anybody and then she turned him down? Do you know any man that was turned down when it comes to propose? Because I ain't met one yet. Okay, I ain't met one yet. Okay, so the most engaged in telling nonsense, maybe. So obviously, even to tell that story to try to cover up the fact that they're not worth marrying is not strength of mind. So where are they strong? Okay, where are they strong? Okay, now we got women in the black community, the overall black community, because we're including these dysfunctional, anti-family, single mother people. They say they have to do things by themselves. They say they're strong. A lot of times they say that, they can do it with no man. And they try to prove that by having children. And they don't want the children raised in their father's home. They rather be somewhere else and raise their children without the influence of a father. So they deliberately become single mothers. Yes, black women deliberately become single mothers. And then when they become single mothers, they start complaining about the fact that they're not getting help. Now, let me get this straight. You go out of your way to become a single mother. And there may be people say, well, they're not going out of their way. How do you not go out your way when you can just wait till you get married to have sex in the first place so you won't be a single mother? You can get pregnant by a man, and then, you can just go to the chop shop so you never had a man's baby if you're not married. And regardless of what y'all gonna say about a moral thing when it comes to going to the chop shop, black women go to the chop shop like a mug. Obviously, they don't have a moral issue with it because they go like a mug. But even though they go like a mug, they still single mothers. Ain't that amazing? Ain't that amazing how they go to the chop shop so much, but still so many of them become single mothers? Ain't that crazy? Now, outside of that, they could take a morning after pill so they, don't have to worry about carrying a baby. They could use, they got over 30 forms of birth control that they can use on themselves. Then they can actually tell a man to wear a condom. He can't legally have sex with her if she says put on a condom, and he won't. So when you put all this stuff together, you, as a woman, you got to go out your way to get pregnant. You got to go out your way because you got to dodge all that. Still have sex while you're ovulating, and there a lot of them are willing to have sex with multiple men while they're ovulating to guarantee that they get pregnant. Now, if you don't believe me, they got whole television shows about the fact. They don't come out and say it, but they got whole television shows about the fact that women like to have, sisters, black women, these quote unquote strong women, they like to go have sex with multiple men while they're ovulating. If you don't believe me, it's a dude named Maury that knows a little bit of something about that, y'all. Okay. It's a dude named Maury that knows a little something about that. Okay. He started doing all types of television shows with that became a primary subject on his show. Now, they even have a show now, y'all. And I'm sure I put some clips in, a couple of clips from the show in some of my past. And if y'all are new here, y'all done had multiple channels. I done had some issues in the past. Hopefully we won't have any anymore. But there is actually a show now called Paternity Court. Now, Paternity Court, it don't come out and say that it's what it's doing, but Paternity Court is literally a show about women who have sex with multiple men while they're ovulating. Okay, because the babies are in question about who the daddy is. Now, how do you have questions about who the daddy is unless you were having sex so much that you had sex with multiple men while ovulating? Think about that. All right. See, y'all, I do a lot to paint pictures, but then I start tying pictures together, and stuff will get real simple. It get real simple. Okay. Now, they choose to have babies. They don't want the fathers in the picture. You know, some of them try to drag another man in the picture to be the baby daddy because she want a particular man's resources. So she have sex with one guy because she want his resources, but she had the baby by another guy. And sometimes they be knowing already. They be straight trying to set dudes up and just fool them about, you know, this baby being yours. You know, they get a new man and then have a bunch of sex with him early, you know. And that's a good tip off, y'all. If you got a woman who has a bunch of sex with you early and then she comes up pregnant right away, and then for some reason you have that baby and she starts slowing down sexually, yeah, that probably was a trap. That probably was a trap. She had to convince you that it was your baby. She knew she was pregnant already, but she wanted resources from you. See, the other guy, she thought I ain't gonna really get nothing out of him. Plus, I don't really want him around anyway. So let me go find somebody else. They do all kinds of little trickery, you know. And maybe if you the second guy, because you got me pregnant, you might be convinced that you should marry me, and then we can get married for a little while. Then I get a divorce and get a little something out the deal, and I get to cover myself and say I'm a divorced woman instead of just some random baby mama. A lot of that stuff happens. But even while all these plans that they make happen, they're complaining the whole time. How is that strong that they complain about the very thing that they did? Okay, because if you're gonna complain, you're supposed to complain about something somebody else did to you. You don't even supposed to complain about what you did to yourself. You was down with it. Why are you complaining about what you did to yourself? You were down. You was at the meeting. Whatever meeting you had to make whatever you deem as a bad decision now, you was there. I get somebody complaining that somebody else did something to him. I understand a kid is complaining that he's going to school and, while the teacher not looking, there's another kid beating up on him or something or bullying him in some kind of way. He's going to complain about that. I get that. Another kid is doing something to him and they're getting away with it. I get that. How do you complain about what you did to yourself as a single mother? You did it. You was at every meeting there was about being a single mother. You was at every one of them. Yeah, we gonna have sex with this guy. You was at that meeting. Well, we gonna have sex with this other guy over here. You was at that meeting. Okay, well, I don't know about this guy, so let me have sex with this guy right here, and then I'm gonna have sex with him too. So just in case, I got 3 guys who got a little something they can give me, and when I come up pregnant, you know what I'm saying? Now you was at every meeting. You got pregnant by one guy, got 3 other guys to try to think that they the baby daddy. You was at every single meeting, but then you complain that you raising a kid by yourself. Ain't that about nothing? Ain't that about nothing? Crazy work, as they say, crazy work. Okay. Shout out to Mr. Shugty. What heck of a comment right here, y'all. He said, I would call BS on what Roger's saying, but unfortunately, it happened to me. Ain't that about nothing? Ain't that about nothing? Okay. So now a source comes in with that strong language. See, he says women are stupid. Well, let's keep in mind, y'all. Let's keep in mind, stupidity is a choice. Okay. No one has to be stupid. People choose to be stupid. It is what it is. Okay. It is what it is. All right. Now, women like to have this thought process going on that they're strong. Now, I'll put a link in the description. Y'all saw a woman, talk about this ridiculous concept of black women being strong. Who are black women strong to? Let's ask that question, y'all. Who are black women strong to? Because there is one group of people in America that black women are strong too. All right, let's be real about this. We ain't got to be fake, y'all. Let's be real. There's a group of people in America, and shout out to all my people listening around the world. Love and appreciate y'all, and thank you for tuning in. Okay, there is a group of people that black women are strong too. That group of people is called black women. Yes, y'all, that group of people is called black women. Black women are strong to themselves. All right. They are strong to themselves. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it's some black men that are fooled by this stupidity because they're taught this when they're children. But black men start waking up. They don't really get it sometimes because they're trying to figure out how stuff that ain't making sense to them. When they become older, they become actual men, and then they be living the world and stuff just ain't adding up. It's because they were taught as a kid that black women are strong, and when they become an adult and they start actually doing things, it ain't adding up. It's not adding up. You strong, but you crying about paying your bills. Okay. How you strong and you crying about paying your own bills, not somebody else's bills, your bills, the bills that you accumulated. You strong, but you crying because you got to pay your light bill. You strong, but you crying because you got to pay your car note. Okay. You strong because you got to pay your own mortgage. See, black women do a lot of crazy stuff when you think about it, and they put out this image and they want us to expect they expect us to look at them a certain way, and it just don't be adding up. I was talking about this just the other day about you got some black women who were blessed enough to be in position to buy a home. They bought a home on their own, okay? And then they cry about paying the mortgage. You would think that would be a blessing to them that they can buy their own home. You would think, because they always want to talk this stuff about being strong and independent, right? So, okay, you strong, you independent, you don't need no man, you purchased a home. It's not like it's a bad thing to purchase a home. It's not like that's like this really terrible thing. Then you get on the internet and cry about it. I never seen my daddy cry about paying his own mortgage. I ain't see that. Oh, that's right. My daddy not a woman. My daddy not a woman. Okay. And I told y'all, my father was in a situation, but unfortunately for him, he got divorced. He had to buy a second home. He ain't crying about that mortgage either. It is what it is. So I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you. When I see women who did all these things so they can buy a home, then you bought one, and then you crying that you got to pay the note on the home that you bought, it's crazy. Shout out to Jesse Lee, just because he said it in the chat, y'all. Jesse Lee is in the building, y'all. But shout out to Jesse Lee. I was gonna get to this, but since he said it in the chat, student loans, y'all. Student loans. You got a ton of women crying over student loans. Now, what's the big deal about a student loan? You went to college, okay? I mean, I don't know if they do loans for they probably do, I guess, for like cosmetology and other type of little schools too, whatever, where they do the hair and the beauty and makeup stuff or whatever. They might get loans for those too. I don't know. I'm sure they do. But most of them, I'm sure they went to some form of a college or university and they got some student loans. Okay. Amazing. I found out there was like extra loans or extra grants or something for women who had a baby while they were in college. Okay. I found out a lot of women went to college because they got pregnant. I mean, I'm just going to say priorities. Okay. Okay. All right, so they got all these student loans because they wanted to be, I guess, big boss ladies or whatever the case is. But let's keep it real. Black women went to college so they didn't have to listen to a black man. And people act like that's not true, but they didn't say it time and time again. I went to college so I don't have to listen to no man. Who you think they was talking about? Who you think they was talking about? They was talking about black men. Okay. They don't seem to have a problem listening to white men. They don't seem to have a problem listening to Hispanic men. They don't seem to have a problem listening to Asian men. They don't seem to have a problem listening to Indian men. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever, however you want to classify, as long as they ain't black, they don't seem to have a problem listening to those men. Okay, who they were trying to avoid? FBA men. They don't want to listen to us. Is what it is. Now you go to college, you take out the loans. Okay. Okay, some of y'all got y'all degrees, some of y'all didn't get y'all degree. If we're gonna be real, some of y'all got your degree, some of y'all didn't get your degree. Okay. All right, now you chose to go to school, you chose to get those loans. You either finished or you didn't finish, which was again is on you at the end of the day. And now you complain to men about what we won't do for them. Okay. They complain to us men. Say what we won't do for them. You know, they want black men to come in, be with them, you know, have a relationship with them, pay off their loans. Heck, some of them asking for money before you even have a real conversation with them. If it's real, why don't you send money to my Cash App? Okay. People are on social media doing literally nothing and got links to something where they can get paid from. They got a Cash App link. They got the Venmo link, you know. They got all these different links so you can give them some money. Now, are they putting on great shows like I do? Absolutely not. Are they putting up videos for you to watch them do stuff? Absolutely not. They just regular people. Nothing going on, but they got links to Cash App and other forms of collecting money. Okay. Shout out to Trey Bentley. He telling the truth. PayPal, Chime, all kinds of stuff, y'all. Ain't doing squat. Now, let's keep it real. Now, we got some women who are they at least doing some videos and some provocative clothes or something like that, and then they'll put a link to some way to collect some money. Basically saying, I do these videos so y'all will send me some money, okay? I do these videos so y'all will send me some money, all right? I ain't saying that's the best course of action, but at least they try. At least they trying. But then, even with that, you know, then women start complaining that they ain't making enough. You know, y'all know that there's women that complain that they don't make enough money on sites like OnlyFans. You go onto a site, you get out there, you get naked, or you put all your little clothes on or whatever. You try to tease the people to the point where the men are just seeing some money and, you know, not even get anything out you. They just see a video and the men are sending you some money. And then they start complaining that we ain't sending them enough money. Okay. Now, I don't do it personally, but we as men, we go on OnlyFans and other places like that. We see them doing what they do. And then they complain to us that we ain't sending them enough money. Wait a minute. You the one went on the internet and did this thing. Okay. You the one put on the show. If your show ain't good enough for me to send no money for, how's that my fault? You the one dancing around. If you don't do your dance around properly, that I don't want to send no money, how is that my fault? Okay, this how you chose to make money. Okay, this how you chose to make money. You know, I don't owe OnlyFans nothing. Okay, I don't owe OnlyFans nothing. Now I don't go to OnlyFans like that. I'm not mad at no man who do. That's on y'all. It's y'all money. You know, you do what you want to do with it at the end of the day. But I would be insulted if I went on a place like that to send random chicks money and then they start complaining I ain't sending them enough. Look, all you did was a little video. It wasn't even exclusive to me. You put this out for the public to see. If I seen you a nickel, that's plenty. Okay, everybody seen you a nickel, you in good shape. How you dare complain to me that you're not making enough? But what's that, y'all? What type of strength is in that? Okay, what type of strength is in that? I don't get it. All right, you got women. Guys were taken out on dates, and then they start going to the internet talking about, it's certain places that you just shouldn't take us for a first date or a date at all. Okay, one of my favorite spots was included, y'all, because if I remember that list correctly, because I did cover that list before on the previous channel I had. I believe IHOP was on that list. Okay, now I love pancakes, y'all, so anybody might go on the first date with me and end up at IHOP. Why? Because I love pancakes. I don't need to be fake about who I am. Okay, so you may end up at IHOP. All right, but I think IHOP made that list. Well, don't take me to no IHOP on the first date. Who is you to tell me where to go spend my money? Who are you to tell me where to go spend my money? It don't even make sense. It don't even make sense. But somehow, okay, somehow something wrong with me for spending my money where I want to spend my money. Yeah, I can't hear you, man. I can't hear you. Okay. Shout out to Urban Reed. He said, Roger, you saying it's my fault for it's my fault for her to for her lack of pop lock and dropping skills. Will wonders ever cease? Laugh out loud. Hey man, yes, Urban Reed. If we go to OnlyFans and watch her dance, and we don't tip her the way she thinks she's supposed to be tipped, because she can't move it like she need to move it, somehow it's our fault. It's our fault. Makes no sense to me at all. Makes no sense to me at all. Shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. He say Waffle House. Hey man, I done been to Waffle House a time or two. If my memory's right, I think Waffle House made that list too. Okay. I think Waffle House made that list too. I I remember taking a young lady to the Cheesecake Factory. I can't go there no more according to that list, though. Can't go to the Cheesecake Factory. That's just not good enough, okay? Man, I ain't worried about nobody's list, man. Real talk. But why are these women complaining? Because they're supposed to be strong, independent, and didn't need no man in the first place. So why are you complaining about the stuff that I'm doing for you? Have y'all ever gotten a gift that you really didn't want? Y'all think about this for a moment. Has anybody gave you something that you really didn't want? Now, as a man, what I do? I just say thank you, take it, and keep it pushing. I'm not finna sit there and argue with you because you gave me a gift I didn't want. Okay? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm up anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm gone. Ain't no biggie. You gave me a gift. I may never use it. All I know is it's mine. Okay? If I meet somebody and they want my particular gift that I don't want, maybe I give it to them, maybe I don't. That's up to me at the end of the day. But what I'm not going to do is start complaining that somebody did not give me a gift according to what I think they should have given me. I'm not going to complain about you giving me a gift that I believe you should have just came stronger with the gift. No, I ain't going to complain about nothing like that. It's a gift. Okay? If it's that serious, stop talking to that person. If it's that serious, it's a gift. All right. What I look like arguing with you about a gift. Okay. It makes no sense to me. But women, they trying to recoup from things they feel that they were shorted in other areas. This happens. It happens on a regular basis. Okay. They believe they got the short end of the stick somewhere, and they trying to get some other man to make up for the short end of the stick that, for something they didn't deserve in the first place. Now, we're supposed to look at women like this and somehow come to the conclusion that they're strong. I don't know how you do that. Okay. I don't know. Maybe y'all see women as strong, but now the more I think about it, I don't know when they were strong. All right. I don't know when they were strong. All right. I would give credit back in the civil rights era. We saw some women who was rocking with the men. I do think there was a small percentage of them that were strong. I do believe that because they was out there with their men, their husbands, even when the dogs got, sicked on them, you know, they held it down. Okay, I seen some of them get sprayed with some water hose. They held it down. You don't want to see things like that happen to your woman. And of course, those brothers never had a clue that stuff like that would happen to their women because, men ain't going to put their women in harm's place. But some of those women went through that and they stayed with their men. So I got to give them credit. I got to give them some credit. Now, what was happening during the Jim Crow era? Well, it was segregated. Black people were stuck with each other. Were black women strong at that particular point? I don't know. I just say I respectfully say anything that happened during Jim Crow, I'm gonna give you 50-50. That's all I can really do. Okay, that's all I can really do. When black women were truly free, as they said, I've seen a lot of their behavior, and it does not scream strength. Okay, now they have people like the clip that I put in. There's a lot of people who talk about these strong black women. Yeah, and that clip was from 7 years ago. Okay, that wasn't no yesterday thing. That was something from 7 years ago. All right, and they were talking about how black women were these super to who? Who are they super to? Because when you talk about kids, they just not doing that great of a job. Let's just keep it real, y'all. They're just not doing that great of a job when it comes to raising children. They raise children on their own, not the best work. It just is what it is. So what are they talking about when they say they're doing everything by themselves? Because you can't be talking about raising your kids. Okay? Well, some of them will work 2-3 jobs. That's true. Some of them will work 2 or 3 jobs. Not many. A lot of them won't work a job at all. They got kids, don't want to work no job. Okay? They don't want to work a job that's going to take care of stuff for their family because it's just not convenient for them. Y'all know how many jobs out there that black women just won't take? Think about it. Every job that you see where there's a bunch of men there dominating that field, especially when you start hitting 90% and higher, where that position is held by men, that means black women won't take those jobs. That's what that means. Because legally, they can get the job. They can apply for those jobs. They don't want to do those jobs. Now, if their children have to suffer because they won't do those jobs, they're just cool with that. Okay? It's a lot of people who say, well, I need to make some more money, but you won't do a harder job. There's other jobs that'll pay you a little bit more money. Will you do the work that's required to do with those other jobs so you can get paid a little more money? And the answer to a lot of folks is no. They ain't gonna do the work. Okay? One of the reasons I would never complain about money. There's always ways to make some money. The question is, are you willing to do the work to make the money? Because if you're not willing to do the work to make the money, how you complain about what you're making? But somehow they think it's okay to complain. Now that don't make sense to me. I don't see it as being strong. It makes no sense at all. Now, you want to talk about how weak that is? Sure, I can have a conversation with you about how weak that is. Because if you got kids that's struggling to get by and you won't do anything to fix that situation, that don't sound like strength. That sounds like weakness. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay? I ain't saying you got to be a multi-millionaire. But if your kids need some stuff and you ain't going to get the stuff they need, I mean, come on, what you want me to say? What you want me to say about a person who won't raise their kids and get the kids the stuff they need? Now, I'm not saying you got to get your kids everything they want, but if you won't get the stuff they need, what you want me to say about you? You think it's going to be something complimentary? Now, I told y'all, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, but we did get the stuff we needed. That's for sure. Now, we got some of the stuff we wanted. I didn't get everything I wanted as a kid. We got some of it. I put in a few requests and I got some requests met. but I didn't come from a family made of money. But the stuff that we needed, I ain't had to think about. Okay, I did not have to think about. I never had to have a thought about will we have enough soap at home. Okay, soap to wash your behind with, or soap to wash the dishes with, soap to wash the laundry with, soap to clean the house. I never think about that type of stuff. It was there. Okay, I ain't had to think about that type of stuff. Okay, I had a lot of people say they did certain things because mama wasn't providing this and mama wasn't providing that. I've never had the thought that I got to be in a man's place as a child because my mama ain't providing this, that, and that. And it's a lot of people who sell drugs that say that that's their story. I was seeing my mama struggle, so I had to get out on them streets. I had to do my thing. I had to get in the game. It was heartbreaking for me to watch my mama struggle. Man, I never thought that was my responsibility. Now, I'm not laughing at anybody who did that because that's the conclusion you came to. To me, I accept that I'm a joyous person because I've never thought about that. I never thought my mom was struggling so much that I needed to do anything. Okay. That just wasn't my way. Okay. I ain't never seen my mama struggle to the point that I needed as a child to get up and do squat. No, I'm not her husband, y'all. Okay. I never thought I was, and I never tried to be in her husband's position. Okay. I'm never going to try to be in her husband's position. Okay. It just is what it is. All right. Q497. He coming with these vicious lies and dangerous rumors, man. Vicious lies and dangerous rumors, man. I'm out here struggling, man. Struggling. That's what I'm doing, man. I'm out here struggling. So I don't know what you're talking about, brother. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. I'm struggling, man. Y'all, he say, Rod, you had plenty of money. And your oldest car is probably a 2022 Bentley. Hey, man, I wish, man. Y'all don't believe that hype. Don't y'all believe that hype. I'm out here struggling, man. Okay. Not struggling. I'm out here struggling. I can't even spell it right. That's how bad it is for me. I can't even spell it right. I'm struggling. Okay. Real talk, struggling. But women put themselves in these positions where they are doing their own thing, as they say. Okay. They live in their own lives. Can't nobody tell them nothing. Yet they complain about it. Now, every woman ain't complaining on the internet, but we do have enough footage on the internet now where y'all can see in general that black women are complaining about all this stuff that they're doing, even though they are the reason that they're doing all this stuff. They put themselves in this position. Okay. They put themselves in this position. And that's on them at the end of the day. Now, shout out to Universal UC. Got to shout out to him, man. He hit me with the Cash App yesterday after the show, y'all. He hit me with the Cash App yesterday after the show. He put $10 on it. So thank you very much for the Cash App. And I'm just going to take that as you help me get off to a good start today. So thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate it big time. Appreciate it big time. He's saying great content. Hey, appreciate that, brother. Cause I like these and he said another excellent discussion is what he actually said. Another excellent discussion. I appreciate you saying that, brother. Appreciate you saying that. So y'all, that's what the real thing is. Y'all don't listen to those vicious lies and dangerous rumors out here. Ain't no 2022 Bentleys over here. I'm struggling, okay? But see, we have these ideas that black women are strong and independent and don't need no man. And they brought up some things, television. At that time, I guess, Olivia Pope was still doing her thing at that time. Okay. the quintessential black woman. All right. And black women, yeah, they want credit for stuff that people did on television. All right. Olivia Pope is not a real person. She's just not a real person. She's just a character at the end of the day. And black women do want credit for being strong, like this character that was written up. But at the end of the day, when we look at your kids' grades, I don't see strength. You look at how black children are doing under black women's watch. Do we see strength? Okay, do we see strength? Do we see good grades? Now they change it up, y'all. I know back in the day when I was in school, we was on the A, B, C, D, and F. I know they using a lot of different stuff nowadays. Okay, I ain't keeping up with all that stuff like that, but they're using different metrics now to say, or different quote unquote goals or whatever that they use to explain whether the kid did well or not. It sounds too much like participation trophies to me. Sound a little bit too much like that to me. So I ain't gonna keep up with it like that. Okay. But the thing is, their children don't have the grades that show that they're strong. Okay. Now I'm gonna say shout out to JCast39. He said, interesting title. You know what? It is an interesting title, but we trying to hit nails on the head around here. We are trying to hit nails on the head around here. And you know what? And welcome to the scene over here. I ain't noticed you over here before if you've been here before. The crazy part is now he said, yeah, it's weird. Now let me just tell you what the crazy part is. It's weird that people buy into the strong black woman when we don't see strength. That's the weird part. Okay. Folks talk about what black women are doing for themselves as if they didn't choose to be in those positions. Okay. They talk about how black women have to deal with this and deal with that, and then they throw the kids in there. You chose to have the kids on your own. You chose to not be married and be under a roof of your husband. They say all these kids are in these fatherless homes. The fathers got homes. Why the kids ain't over there? The fathers got homes. Why aren't the kids there? So if the children are being raised in a fatherless home, that's some woman's fault. Because the father got a home. Why ain't they over there with him? Okay? Why ain't they over there? But see, they say the women have to do all this stuff on their own, which they don't. They choose to live that lifestyle. And then they say, something is wrong in society because they made a choice with their own freedom. It's society's fault and they made a choice with their own freedom. See, y'all, when y'all think about it, now JCast39 said the right word. It is weird. It's weird that they have a reputation of being strong when you don't see evidence of it. Okay? How are they strong? Where their strength come from? Who is seeing them outside of themselves as being strong? Okay. They say, well, we don't want black women to live in this society where everyone's expecting them to be strong. Do y'all really think people expect y'all to be strong? Now, I'm saying it, but I know they do. But what is reality, y'all? Black women always want somebody else to intervene and handle their business for them. Is that strength? They beg the government to do this for them and that for them. Because they want to be on their own, but they don't want the responsibilities that go along with being on your own. How is that strength? When you think about what black women do from a collective standpoint, do you see strength? Now, to each other, I do believe they convinced each other that they're strong. I do believe that. I do believe that. Have they convinced the average white woman that they're strong? I don't see that. Have they convinced the average white man that they're strong? I don't see that. And I think some of them may say, hey, we do convince them that we're strong. Think about our relationship with them in corporate America. I don't think they think you're strong. I think they think you a sucker and you will do anything that they tell you to do without question. That's what I believe. Okay. Based on what I see, I don't see them as thinking y'all are strong. Y'all are very good at doing what you told. That's it. You just gonna do what you told. You're gonna stay in line and you're not gonna ask no questions. And if you know the answer to the question, what upset some white man, okay, which dominates corporate America. You just don't ask it. So no, I don't see white men as looking at y'all as being strong. They clown y'all too much. Okay, they literally laugh at you a whole lot for me to think that they think you strong. No, I don't think they think you strong at all. I think they think you suckers. That's what I believe. The average white man believes the average black woman's a sucker. Now they will say they see you as strong, so you will continue to be their suckers. Cause what black woman gonna say no to a white man? Ain't too many. Let's keep it real. It ain't too many. Okay. Shout out to Trail Bentley. He say proxy violence. They always send out a goon. Well, let's keep it real, Trail Bentley. He done said something super real. They want to get into stuff. They want to get into all types of arguments and whatnot. They want to fight, but they don't want to fight themselves. They want to get somebody else to do the fighting for them. Okay? You know, they love to tell lies on men, so another man will come get the guy, or another man and his friends will jump the guy. They don't like to handle their own business. You know, they want to be tough in the streets, but don't want to square up. You know, it's amazing. You know, they want to be tough in the streets, but never want to square up. They always want to say, no. You weak because you want to square up with me, even though I'm messing with you. I mean, shout out to Sha'Carri Richardson, man. She attacked her own boyfriend at the airport. Yeah, and I have seen some of the footage now. I've seen some of that footage now. Okay. She attacked her own man at the airport. And what did she want to happen? She wanted the police officer to arrest him because she attacked him. And I guess it's his fault that she decided to put her hands on him, even though he wasn't doing nothing to her. He did not touch her, but she put her hands on him. And somehow that's his fault. Is that the strength they talking about? Is that the strength? Okay. Is that the strength? Shout out to TB. Good to have you here. Never seen him before. But let's see what TB said, because I saw a video. So I'm gonna see what he said. He said, saw a video on World Star this morning. Black man attempted to get his kid during custody exchange and had to blast his baby mama's dyke girlfriend for pulling a blicky on him. Damn, that's crazy. I thought that's crazy. That's crazy. Now obviously it's a whole lot of mess going on in that situation. But if the man has a child by the woman and it's his time to have custody of the child, and the woman don't want to turn the child over, because that's the conclusion I'm gonna have to come to. You know, if a dyke girlfriend shows up, come on now, that means you didn't want to turn the child over when it was time for the man to get custody of his kid. That's just crazy work at the end of the day. Now I feel sorry for the brother, because if he shot somebody, now he got to deal with a bunch of legal stuff that he shouldn't have to. And unfortunately, when it comes to custody of his child, that can pose a lot of problems for him. So that's an unfortunate situation for him. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that he had to go through that. That's a shame. Okay. All right, let me see what Q497 is saying. He says, you are missing it, Roger. The strength is in them sticking to their defiance and hard-headedness towards black men. They never give up on that. Well, shout out to Q497. I guess if you want to throw him a bone, that's a good bone to throw him. If you want to throw him a bone, that's a good bone to throw him. Okay? You know, and I guess that's what Sha'Carri was on at the airport. Okay? I'm going to beat this man because he's not going to hit me back. And y'all, and that's a sad thing. Okay? You know, black women start beating on a man. You got to make her stop. She won't stop on her own. You got to make her stop. You know? So I didn't see some of the Sha'Carri footage, y'all. The day I seen that, the day I did the show on it, I hadn't seen it like I really wanted to see it, because I seen all these blurred images and whatnot. Because I told y'all I didn't. I don't listen to other people's commentary about stuff until I talk about it myself a lot of the times. So I wasn't able to get a good clear picture like I wanted to. But now that I checked some other people's stuff out, I started seeing some footage, and I was like, oh, okay. This was a little bit more than a push. A little bit more than a push. Now, is this where the strength is supposed to be? The fact that they're abusive to black men? Yeah. Did y'all notice that black women are so violent to black men that they came up with a new term? They called it bi-directional now. Okay, bi-directional. Why y'all think they developed the term bi-directional? Because the women was starting so much stuff, they can't say it's men physically abusing women. The women starting the fights. Men, do something to save themselves or fight back even a little bit. So what they do, we got to come up with a new term. It's bi-directional. Okay, so where's all this strength if they out here jumping on men, and then when you jump on the man because you can't whoop him in the fight, you gonna call the police on him? Is that where the strength is? Where is the strength, y'all? Where is the strength? You know, I see a lot of crazy stuff that I never say anything about, y'all. I see a lot of crazy stuff I don't say anything. I mean, I do a Monday through Friday show. I can't get to everything. That's the unfortunate thing. I can't get to everything. Okay. You know? So where is the strength they're talking about? All right. They strong mothers. Okay. They don't need no man. When they raise their children are more likely to become single mothers. And even the boys are more likely to have kids out of wedlock. If you are a man and you was raised by a single mother, it's just a lot higher probability that you got a child out of wedlock. You know, and I do get it. There are men who had one kid out of wedlock and then they stop and don't do it again or whatever. That does happen. But you had that first kid out of wedlock. That's probably because you listened to your mama too much. That's real talk. You grew up, you listened to your mama too much. You know, and then sometimes that can become problematic because you'll have some men who had a kid out of wedlock and then now they feel like they got to defend the woman because they had a kid out of wedlock themselves. Look, if you a man and you had a child out of wedlock, you ain't got to defend no nonsense, y'all. You can say, look, hey, I was raised by a single mother. I did something I ain't have no business doing. I'm not doing it again, and I'm not going to promote it like it's a good thing. You can actually take that stance. Okay? You can actually take that stance. It's okay. But see, when it comes down to it, where's the strength in that? You a single mother yourself. You don't teach your kids not to be single parents. Is that what the strength is? Getting your kids to make the same mistakes you did? Is that the strength? Where are black women strong? Where they strong? See, it's crazy that they got this reputation of being strong and independent and don't need no man. Yet you just walk around living your everyday life and the general black woman don't show strength. Now, is there a black woman out there who will show some strength? Yeah, I mean, when you with a group of millions of people, you can always find some example of just about anything. Okay. You can find, an example of just about anything when you deal with millions and millions of people. But when you look at black women as a group, you do not see strength. Where do you see it at? If they buy their own stuff, they complaining about the fact that they got to pay for their own stuff. If they live off the government, they complain that they ain't getting enough. Okay. Or then, I mean, you can't say they being strong and not taking care of themselves. You know, where is the strength coming from? All right. They complain about paying for their own children on a regular basis. You can go to whatever site you want to on the internet and you look at women talking about their kids, and you will see a bunch of women complaining about paying for their own children. Do y'all notice the whole thing that they be talking about black men and calling them deadbeats and all that type of stuff because they got to pay for their own kid? I mean, come on now. That's all. It's your kid. How you tripping about paying for your own kid? Now, if I had a child and I'm paying for my own child and the woman don't do nothing for the kid, could it make me feel some type of way? Possibly. I'm not saying it would make me feel some type of way, but would I get on the internet and start complaining that I have to pay for my own child? No, I wouldn't do that because it's my child at the end of the day. I'm not going to complain about paying for my kid. If I'm complaining about paying for my kid, what I'm saying, I'm complaining about the fact that I can't come up with enough money to pay for what I want to. I want to do more for my child. My complaint is about me. Hey, is there some way out there that somebody can help me make some more money so I can give my kid more? That would be my complaint. I wouldn't complain that some woman wasn't helping me. Okay? I ain't saying it ain't justified. But I ain't finna worry about some woman who ain't gonna do her part. I don't need her to do her part. That's between her and that kid. Because again, y'all, I'm not the type of person to have stuff for my children. If I have kids and mama ain't doing nothing, I'm not gonna put them under the pressure that mama's doing something. I'm gonna tell the truth. And we got a lot of black men right now that don't have the greatest relationship with their children because they didn't tell their children the truth when they were young. You should have told your kids, your mama be lying. You should have told your kids what you be doing for them. Should have told your kids about them child support checks. Okay? You should told your kids, look, they take X amount of dollars out of my paycheck. Every time I get paid, that goes to you for child support. So when your mama telling you I ain't gonna do nothing for you, she lying. But we don't do stuff like that. We just let women go along with this stuff that ain't real. Okay? And then they get credit for being strong. Where is the actual strength? That's all I'm asking. Where is the actual strength? How they strong women and they don't do nothing to show us evidence of the strength? Okay? Let's look at the marriages, y'all. Let's look at some marriages. Okay? We know black women get divorced more than anybody. Okay? They at a point where they can't get married as a collective as it is. And then when they finally do get married, then they want a divorce. Okay, so where was the strength in the divorce? What was the strength? So you and your husband got to actually do some real work. So you want to get divorced instead? Is that where your strength is? Because that don't sound like strength to me. If I'm your child, that don't sound like a good idea to me. Y'all not working stuff out. That don't sound right to me. Okay. So what they strong in filing divorce paperwork? Is that what they strong in? Okay. Okay. Y'all, we got a hater in the house. We got somebody named Deal Wyndham. Okay. He say, oh brother, another channel on the black women hate. So tiring. Well, first of all, this ain't black women hate. You hate black women. And let me tell you how we know you hate black women. Because clearly you came over here and you hear the truth and you're upset. So you're calling names. That means you hate black women because you're trying to protect them from the truth. People who hate you will protect you from the truth. That's a known thing. See, when you love your children, you prepare them for the actual world they live in. Okay? See, your mama and your daddy, if you ever knew them, probably never told you this. See, my parents told me this. Look, we're dealing with you. We're disciplining you because we don't want the world to have to discipline you. We don't want you to get older and to be out of control, to be a fool in the streets. And the world has to discipline you. See, that talk your parents probably never had with you. If you never, I don't know if you even know your daddy. Okay, I don't even know if you even know your daddy. But see, if you had a father like mine, your father would tell you there's things about the world that's going to be in place when you're an adult and you got to learn how to deal with the world. My parents didn't hide the truth from me. So I get it. You think people that had the truth is some form of hatred. No, people who love you tell you the truth. So now the thing is, just because you probably had a bad childhood, just because your mama probably is a nothing, You know, and I'm not blaming you if your mama's a nothing. I don't know if your mama's a nothing or not. I'm only going based on how you came in the door. You came in the door saying something that makes no sense at all. That's your fault because you didn't have to make that comment. You came in like that. That's on you. So don't blame me because I'm addressing stuff that's probably going on with you based on the comment you made. Okay? At the end of the day, you came in as if your parents don't love you. Because if your parents love you, what I'm saying isn't problematic. But if your parents don't love you, you may see a problem in what I'm saying. And that goes to not just Deal Wyndham, that goes to anybody. If you got a problem with what I'm saying, that's a good indicator that your parents probably don't love you. Now, I don't blame y'all that your parents didn't love you. That's the choices that they made. Okay? But you don't have to live with how your parents mistreated you for your whole life. You can actually become an adult and accept that I don't have to agree with the foolishness of my parents. You have a right to disagree with foolishness of your parents. Okay? But at the end of the day, matter of fact, we're just going to say this right now. If you don't know your daddy, then how's your mama strong? Okay? And I'm not saying that to any particular person, but I'm just saying this is something you need to think about. If you don't know your daddy, how could your mama be strong? Because one of the first things that you should do as a mother is be able to give your child to his father. Most of us born in hospitals. Okay? Most of us born in hospitals. Why ain't daddy right there to get the child? See, child comes out the woman, she be given to the father. Maybe given to the mother first, you know, but then given to the father. Why ain't the daddy in the room? How are you a strong woman and the daddy ain't in the room when you give birth to his child? Now, that is something that a lot of y'all gonna have to accept didn't happen in your situation. It's not your fault. That was your mama's fault. You're gonna have to get over that and just be a better person than the mama that you had. It is what it is. But Inspired Truth has joined us, so I'm gonna go ahead and give him the mic. You got it, my brother.
Coming in loud and clear.
I believe you are. I hear you, but I think my phone's turned down, so because I'm on the phone myself.
Okay.
Let me do my end because I'm pretty sure you're good. Hey, audience, if y'all hearing them loud and clear, just put a 1. If y'all think if he's too low or something, just put 2. That way we'll know for sure. But go ahead because I can hear you.
All right, very good, very good. Salute to you, Raj. Salute to the chat. There's a couple of things there. Like, first off, I just kind of like want to kind of circle back in on this whole thing with the hater that was popping up in there. There's a reason why we do this stuff, and it ain't like just a thing to just be malicious. Like, we do actually have like toxic women that do some toxic behaviors, and then since women are mimetic, we have to kind of try to protect the ones that aren't toxic so they don't go start mirroring that. So that's kind of where this stuff kind of comes from, to try to clear that part up. On the other side, getting back to the main topic, the topic at hand, going to the video there.
Well, you know what? Let me throw something in just because you said that, because y'all, I don't want y'all attacking people who show up in the audience or anything. Not saying that that's what you did, but I do want to say, look, I got love for the brother. I'm assuming it's a brother. Okay, I got love for the brother. His mama might be trash, and that might be a hard situation for him to have to deal with. I'm not gonna hate him even if his mama was trash. It's okay at the end of the day, y'all. When it comes down to it, you got to learn to love these people and give them a little bit of advice. I mean, look at the picture on the profiles. I mean, I don't know. You know, people use pictures like that. I'm not saying that's what he was doing, but there are people who use pictures like that to show some bit of hatred of black. Not saying that that's his case, but I'm saying what y'all got to do is make people deal with real life. Okay. Now, he made no other comments, so he might actually be thinking about what was said to him. But it's not my job to sugarcoat stuff so he can just go along like everything's fine. If your mama was trash, you're going to have to get over that. You're a grown man. Your mama was trash. Get past it. It wasn't your fault. Go ahead, Matt, my brother. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the second thing here, like the video itself, like the main topic, like That is wild when you stop and think about the fact that they tried to present Olivia Pope as a superwoman, as a black superwoman, like she wasn't a Jezebel, like she wasn't a mammy, as if she wasn't a sapphire when she wasn't busting it open for Brad. Like all of those things that they were talking about, they were like negative stereotypes. You can find it all in that one presentation there. And then for the and then for the bulk of this was presenting a narrative and a fiction as if it is the lived reality for all of us that we're experiencing, that we're seeing here. It's fictional stories. And the bottom line, like once they got to the end of it all, it was an appeal to selfishness, an appeal to black women to be selfish, as if there's some big, strong thing that's that's really preventing them in mass from being selfish. Like we live in America. We live in hyper capitalism. Are you serious with this whole, oh, they just can't be selfish and it's causing all of these deleterious health effects and social effects and everything else under the sun because we just can't find a way to be selfish. Y'all really believe that? And that's where I'll land. Oh, it looks like Roger's still out for a bit. All right, so I'll circle back in on this. Let's see what the comments are saying. We got one, so everybody's saying I'm coming in clear. That's good. We got some folk agreeing, saying facts. Oh, he says keep on going. All right. So let's go back to this whole idea about the whole black superwoman myth, the narrative, etc. That that whole thing there really kind of revolves around this idea that somehow there's this superiority that's going on. It goes back to like kind of like this fictional female superiority. Like we have a kind of extension from the girl boss thing, from the from the whole narrative that feminism tries to portray. It's both a mental and a moral argument at the same time, saying that essentially that there's more or better character amongst the women, more and also more mental more mental adeptness as well, as is presented in these like fictional stories, in these shows. Like when you actually see these shows, it's kind of like similar to like when we see like one of the Marvel superheroes that pops up that happens to be female, but somehow they're able to surpass all the Marvel men that were having to go through this whole process to become who they are. In this case, it's kind of presented more as kind of like a moral mental thing instead. Like we see like in actual reality, we see some incredible things that the brothers are doing. We see incredible things that basically in real life, in your life, you can actually go through and see like the man that the woman is with, that man is an exceptional, amazing man. And we don't actually put that up and hold that up as anything that we put into any of these stories or any of these narratives. Like, why isn't there a brother that we can like really point to that's that's actually the mirror reflecting that's actually the greatness that's behind the woman that's actually there. That's something more along the lines of what we were actually seeing in reality. I think we're back, huh, Raj?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I reset my phone because I was having a little difficulty. Like I said, you were extremely low to me, but I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
let me get out of here so I can hear, so I can have the conversation I'm supposed to have. So shout out to you for holding it down for a minute as I reset my phone so I can get good. But now we got Mr. Z joining us, so I guess I should let Mr. Z say something. Start going back in. And we got somebody. Okay, all right, Mr. Z, I ain't gonna even play. You got the floor because we got Tunnel Runner coming up now. So go ahead, brother.
I'm about to say, goddamn. Thanks for having me up, Rush. What's going on, Inspired Truth? Tunnel Runner, what's going on with y'all? So, Raj, and great topic as usual. So yes, black women being strong, you're right. Only to other black women that's the way it's perceived. Black women are not strong. These women, black and non-black, are not strong. They're aggressive while also simultaneously being fragile. Aggressive and fragile. They're petulant children throwing temper tantrums. Strong, right? Number one. Number two, Raj, you said, essentially black women are operating like they got the short end of the stick. Raj, you already know where I'm going to go with this. You already know where Inspired Truth know where I'm going to go with this. Yes, Raj, because they're not white women. You're right. Of course, they feel like they got the short end of the stick. They don't get to operate on this planet like they're upper middle class, really rich, upper middle class, rich and wealthy white women. They want to be politically and socially, definitely economically, upper middle class and above white women. So of course they feel like they got the short end of the stick. Are black women strong? Oh yeah. Side note. So the character from Scandal, what's her name plays? She actually somewhat did exist. That was one of the kind of aides for George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, she was kind of known as somewhat of the cleaner in DC. So and rumors abound about whether they had a little thing going. So that part of the story could possibly be true also. But yeah, so she does actually exist. So there's that also about George H.W. Bush. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, no. So black women being strong, contemporary black women on top of that. And I'm gonna mention this on my stream in a little bit too. So I went to a family event for my lady over the weekend, and I was surrounded by women pretty much mid-50s and up who were either still married or the only reason they're not with their man or their husband, I'm not even going to say man, their husband, is because he has already transitioned, he has already passed. And all you heard from these women who were commemorating another woman, another black woman, was they would speak about what she meant to them and what she did for them and how she helped them. And somewhere in the story was a mention of their husband. None of those women that went up there said something about my man or not having a man or being said. I listened to a bunch of 55, 60, 70, 80-year-olds, even a 90-year-old mention a husband. Huh?
An incredible thing.
No one's. You see what I'm saying? No one is asking black women to be strong. We're asking you to move out the way because you're not with a man. Goddamn. Move out the way and deal with what you got to deal with. Once again, single and childless black women have the least amount of wealth in America. Huh? No one's asking you to be strong. We know you got to front like you're strong. Huh? Just move out the way and deal with what you got to deal with it. Because the black women that I saw that knew to get on a black man's program, they're still living off of their deceased husband right now. Wait, say that again, Z. They're still living off of their deceased husband right now. Not just the money he left, but the legacy, the name.
Taking care of them in the afterlife.
You see, and none of these men were rich. None of these men were rich. Thank you. The structure. Thank you. Thank you, Tunnel Runner. None of these men were rich. And yet their wives are still living off of them right now. You want to talk about strength? I'm just saying. Anyway, I'll pause right there. Sorry to take y'all down that road, but y'all already know about this. Anyway, we'll pause right there. Thanks for having me up, Raj.
Appreciate. Let's get Tunnel Runner in here. Go ahead, Tunnel Runner.
I was going to follow behind Z and say, to me, I see the women who are strong are the ones that are married. because they have to do everything that these single women do and still take care of their husband. So they are the ones who have to be strong. Those are the strong ones, the ones that can stay with their husband and can raise the kids, can support their husband, and can control their mouth, control their hands, control their self. Those are the strong ones. These single ones walking out here, they're weak because they can't keep a man. They can't keep keep their kids. They're just out of control. They're out there loose, and they need to be under somebody's control. God first, then man, then their self, and then the children. So
Yeah.
for me, those are the strong ones, the ones that can actually do what they were put here to do.
Okay.
The other ones, they're weak.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I kind of like agree with like both what you're saying and what Z is saying. Like there is an actual cost to all of that autonomy. I can do what I want. Can't nobody tell me something? Okay, all right, cool. But there's a cost to that. That cost is in connection. It's going to cost you. Might be 20K, might be 100K, might be $1 million. It's going to cost you something.
All right, we got my main
Can I-
man
can I-
Truth Teller that came in. So
Just tell her, I'm gonna cut you off because I know you won't mind. Z, you're doing too much. I know. So real quick to what Tunnel Runner just did, and I want to emphasize that, right? I want to emphasize the word weak, right, and what makes it. If you decide, and it ties into what Inspired Truth just did. If you decide to exercise your autonomy and to participate, I won't even call it freedom, Inspired Truth. I call it negative liberty, right? And y'all know I keep on banging that drum. If you want to engage in your negative liberty, why it's weak, as Tunnel Runner is saying, it's because you're complaining. Stop complaining then. That's what makes it weak. If you want to engage then rest in peace, Malcolm, but he said it in a different way. No, Mr. Z gonna say it this way. Then suffer in silence then. If you want to engage in your autonomy, you don't get to complain, and let's be very clear why you're complaining, because your hopes is that some form of community or some group of people or individual will feel sympathy for you and then help you in silence.
Well, yeah, they try to make the community pay the bill.
all right.
Exactly. And I'll pause right there. I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
I
but
gotta
yeah.
I was gonna say I gotta get Truth Teller here. Okay, Truth Teller, you got it, brother.
Yo, what up, y'all? Roger, you did a bang up job on this one today, man. You did a bang up job because you got these intelligent brothers on here talking about hoes, and they don't even realize this wasn't nothing but hoe babble. All right, I don't know what y'all niggas heard when y'all watched that video, but you know what I heard when I watched that video. I'm a hoe, and I need to feel better about myself. So therefore, instead of calling myself a hoe, I'm gonna say I'm strong. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm strong. Yeah, I take all of this all day long. A lot of penises, a lot of abuse. I take all of this. I'm strong because of that. And I'm gonna keep doing it tomorrow. And when y'all point out that it's me doing it to myself, I'm gonna say, you don't know what you're talking about. You hate women because I'm a hoe and I gotta keep doing this and living this life. That's all they were saying. That's it. There's nothing else. I mean, come on, yeah, just think about it. So so there's this really cool thing on YouTube. They did it a few years ago where they actually analyzed superheroes and supervillains, and they analyzed Batman and his whole psychology behind how he is Batman. They also did one on Superman. They did one on the Joker and the Riddler. They did a whole bunch of them. But the Superman one I found the most interesting. And I think it was, what's that movie where the chick was in the yellow outfit fighting all the ninjas and stuff?
Kill Bill.
With Uma Thurman. Yeah. Kill Bill. Mm-hmm.
Kill Bill, when he talked about Superman, and he said the difference between Superman and everybody else is that Superman is pretending to be a regular person, but he's not. And that's what manhood is to women. They're pretending to be a superhero when they're not, which is why they can't do it right. It's just not in them to be Superman. They're not doing anything good for the right reason. The only time they do something good is if they feel like it's good, and it don't benefit nobody else. It hurts their kids, it hurts their family, but it's good because it makes them feel good. So therefore, I'm doing it. They don't care what happens to the community. Have you ever heard a group of women talking about how to improve the community? Ever? Anybody? Grandmothers, aunties sitting around. You ever hear them talking about how they can improve the community? How can we help the kids? How can we support our men to improve, to help the family? Have anybody ever heard women talk like that? They don't.
No.
They don't, and it's not their nature. And if they don't have something to control them, they go out of control, which is why they look like the way they do. On this video, everything that this lady described as saying that it's a trope, the only people who believe the trope really is true are black women, because they perform the goddamn role magnificently on a daily basis. So hoes are gonna be hoes. Let's just leave them where they at and keep it moving.
Raj, I'm about to drop. Let me get this out real quick. So the fascinating thing about this entire conversation, and this is inspired by truth tellers. Going to what Tunnel Runner said about weak. We are now dealing with a group of people that said they don't even want to have children anymore. They are so risk averse that they're saying they don't want to even have children anymore. Cool. Then what good are you for anyone? You're not even making good cogs in the wheel for the system. So that's why your vice president said, cat ladies, single cat ladies, and throwing you out on the street. Because let me get this right. I said this on my channel, Raj. So you trying to tell me you think that $55,000 a year in that Tesla Model 3 and that condo you got is contributing? So you're not going to have the kids. You're not going to get married. And when you get older and you quote unquote retire, you're not going to be able to retire. You're going to be a drain on the system for the next 15, 20 years, more than what you quote unquote contributed. Get them out of here. So no, they are not strong. These are petulant children. See what I'm saying? These are petulant children throwing temper tantrums, right? And I'll definitely let Truth Teller get the last word on that one. And thanks for having me up, Raj. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to the chat.
I just say he described a bad hoe, because a good hoe at least will get somebody off while she's doing all of that. She didn't even help nobody out. She just was a bad hoe the whole way through. Jesus.
All right, let me get a flow to Emperor Dessalines. He is back, so let him get in. You got it, my brother. Go ahead.
What's going on, guys? How you doing today?
Doing good, brother. Doing great.
Y'all starting to talk about hoes again? That's why I'm back. I heard hoes and I came back. Saying, "Oh, that's my shit."
You said I'm showing up. You said, what'd you say? I'm back.
He loves them. He loves them. Man, I love my hoes, man. I mean, how are they strong when they're always begging? I've yet to see any videos of the hoes when they are not begging for something, begging for some pocket changes, begging for some money, begging for some rent money. Always begging. Like, how are you strong and you're always begging? Huh? Make that make sense.
Fantastic question. That is a fantastic question. One I was going to propose myself, but that's a very weird thing that you want me to see you as strong when you're begging on a regular basis. That's a very weird thing to me. You know?
I've rarely seen Superman begging for help. I don't know. When was the last time they just saw Superman begging Batman for help?
Can't recall it.
I don't know. I don't see that.
I was gonna go stop this crime, Batman, but I don't feel comfortable without you. I don't feel comfortable showing up there without you. Can you meet me? Can you meet me in Metropolis? That's a great point. Real talk. That's another great point. All right. All right. We got somebody else that came up. We got Shea Butter is up. So Shea Butter, I guess you got the mic. How you doing, brother?
Salute to you, Roger. Peace to the gods on the planet. Black power and Shea Butter, and may melanin continue to reign. And I see you brothers are, looking at our queens and saying they begging and stuff like that. But I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you brothers on this. When it comes to black women being strong in America, absolutely, because you just to be black, you got to be strong, and there are things that our queens do face that require strength, right? Secondary health care, job discrimination, and you got to be strong in America as a black person, point blank period. Regardless of why the racism exists, you got to be strong. So on this one, I'm with the sisters on it, and you know what I mean, because they like the woman said, right? It's a way to fight the stereotypical tropes. It wasn't a great way to go about it, but at the end of the day, right? They a black woman can go through some things without murking herself, right? When we're comparing her to other women. Now, obviously, I'm not comparing women to men because women in general are not strong as men. But when we are talking about a resilient woman, a black woman is going to be the most resilient out of all women in America.
You know what?
I do.
See,
I want to kind of agree, but I do want to ask clarification though, real quick. What are they resilient against?
Well, there was of all types of stuff, right? Like again, like medical healthcare was one thing I highlighted, right?
Yeah, you did that.
Right. Job performance and things like that highlighted against that. It just systematic racism in general, right? Like racism as a system against black people as a whole.
So basically, and I do agree with you on that. So I don't want to say I disagree, but that ain't what these hoes is saying.
Well, like again, like I'm not saying that a black woman is strong as a man, but if we're comparing black women against other women and the resiliency and the things they had to go throughout the history of America, then yeah.
well,
But
I'm
what
gonna
does that
say
got
this.
to do with what they saying though? But hold on, because that's not what they're saying. I don't know if you watched this video player.
I did watch the video, right?
Oh,
Because I'm quoting the video, right? I'm quoting the video, like when she talked
I know.
about
Shea Butter, I know.
the tropes of Aunt Jemima and the tropes of being now some things are true characteristics, like angry black woman is a true thing. I know black women hate that shit, but that is a true thing. 9 out of 10 of them are absolutely angry. That is a true fucking statement. But be that as it may, and maybe being angry is a coping mechanism that they're using to deal with the things they go through.
What uphill that they have to climb every day to
Say
test
again?
their strength? What uphill that these hoes have to climb every day to test their strength? Because everywhere I turn is always handouts for them. They get free shit.
No,
They get Section 8.
I don't.
They get food.
I don't.
Where are they really testing these strengths? Huh?
Matter of fact, unfortunately, y'all, I need y'all to hold on for 1 second because we got an unfamiliar backstage. I'm gonna bring him up. Unpopular One is the name. Okay, so I don't know him. I don't get troll vibes, at least not yet. But I'm gonna bring him up real quick, so I want to be able to allow him to speak before we continue the conversation. So let me get him in first, and then we'll get back to it. All right, Unpopular One, you have the mic. Welcome to the show. You got the mic.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm not a troll.
I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are.
I know. Everybody I know, bro. I'm just saying. My thing is about the black women saying that they're strong, and I've been hearing this saying for a while now. When you are something, you don't have to say it out loud because everybody can see it. So with them saying that and all this black girl magic and all that stuff like that, and trying to justify their still being hoes, you're not. Everybody, we can see you being a hoe, but we don't see you being strong. That's why we can always tell if they're a hoe or not. And that's the biggest issue. They not showing what they saying they are. They showing something opposite, and that's what we see.
Well, I'm gonna say this, right?
Beautifully said. I'm gonna say beautifully said. Cool.
I'm gonna say this. When you're a black person, you gotta say it because niggas hate, white people hate, everybody hate on you. So if you're not gonna toot your own horn, who is? You gotta be your biggest promoter. Shit. at the end of the day, because niggas ain't satisfied till niggas are hurting. America ain't satisfied till niggas are hurting. So to say that you don't have to say that shit in America is craziness right now. That's diabolical, son.
So
He
But,
gonna feel
but let me
he
say
gonna
this.
feel terrible about
But,
himself tomorrow. I promise. He gonna wake up in a
but,
cold sweat
but,
and
but,
say, "Shea butter, shea butter."
but,
Ah!
let me say this now. Let me say this. Okay, yeah, there in certain circumstances you do need to toot your own horn. I toot my own horn. I tell y'all straight up through the door. And new people y'all ain't heard yet, watch tomorrow. You will hear. I say every day I got the best show on social media. But
You
I
do.
actually go through the trouble of putting on the best show on social media. When you claim you're strong and you don't go through the trouble of being strong, that don't look right. So I'm gonna say he
What?
has a very
Well,
strong point. They don't go through the
What?
trouble of being strong.
Well,
well. Here's a question though.
I'm gonna have to hold on. I'm gonna definitely have to disagree, because if you're comparing women to men, then yeah, there's no argument to be made here. But if you're comparing strong women as they're stronger than their counterparts or their cohort parts, then absolutely, because it takes a lot to be black in America. It takes a lot, and we can
Well, could
all
you be
agree with
compare? Could that strength measurement be? Could you still be comparing that strength measurement to men? Because if
Well, I
we
mean,
don't, if we
Roger had that video. Roger said that black men are the best men that America had to offer. We had this talk before. Roger
right,
also had the video of black men are the best fathers that America
Also
has
right.
to
that.
offer.
Let me say one sentence, and
Well, hold on, hold on. Well, before
and I
you go, because I just want to clarify, because what you just, I'm not disagreeing with what you just said. What I'm saying is their strength comparison. If you're comparing them to other women and you're saying they're stronger,
Right.
how
It
are you
just
measuring? Right. How are you measuring strength amongst women? Because it sounds like you're still using the strength of the men's description of strength.
no. That's why I use the keyword resilience. Right, resilience.
But
And
that's not
being resilient,
strength.
because yes, it is absolutely is strength, right? To get up the next day, to go through it all over again,
But that's men's strength. What
no,
is a
no, 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 no,
woman's
no.
strength?
let
That
me.
resilience, brother.
That's
If you
men's
look up,
strength.
No,
brother,
no,
if you look
hold
up
on.
the
I'm gonna
dictionary,
That's
say
a masculine. That's
no,
masculine.
brother,
Sorry, let me
I'm, no,
clarify.
I'm gonna
That's
say
masculine.
there is strength in resilience, but I'm gonna say this: if you want to compare them to other women, then maybe you make real arguments about how strong they are. I didn't even think about it in the context of comparing it to other women. When I think about women being strong, I think about certain things. There is strength of mind. There is how you're going to nurture your nurture other people. There is being feminine itself. There's a lot of things that I think about strength from a woman's context. Not necessarily the same thing that men do, but I
right?
don't see them doing those things. I don't see strength of femininity amongst black
Let
women.
me see. Let
That's
me say.
Well,
Let me say one
I'm
sentence, and you got it. The only area where I see these black women being strong is in their inner thighs. That's it.
okay.
oh man.
Fantastic,
All right,
great.
According,
look. Check this out.
according
Check
to the
this
weight
out.
scale, it's
Like,
not there either.
uh, all right. So the whole thing about do they toot their own horns? Like, do you think that the color purple was them tooting their own horns at all, or was that
Well,
actually the dominant society actually assisting in that narrative that they wanted to perpetuate so they can cause this schism between black men and black women?
I mean, obviously that was a hit piece by the small hats to drive division between us, right? I mean, we all have dissected that ad nauseum, but getting back to what does a women's strength look like? Because I think that is the question. And I think by analyzing and setting a baseline to that, you'll see where I'm coming from. So resilience, strength of mind. I will give you femininity. I would give you femininity. I will also include nurturing. I will also include self-development. I will also include you know uh what else would I would include?
I'm
I
gonna
would
say taking orders.
no,
Taking,
I wouldn't do that just because how America is shaped right now, because all these bitches ain't taking orders regardless of race. So nobody's taking orders right now. So I,
No,
will- I, will- but I will also I will also include how you respond to trauma, right? How you respond to trauma, because well,
You think they're stronger than that?
that would be my baseline factors. And
You think they were strong in? You think they responded to trauma real good?
I say black women respond better to trauma than white women. They respond better to trauma than Asian women. They respond better to trauma than Latino women.
I would disagree on one point. Well, hold on. I disagree on one point because if you're looking through the lens of the strength of women, those women when they experience trauma, they fall back on their men. Black women don't do that.
Well, okay. So let's have a.
They actually destroy their men when they've been traumatized. They literally go into destroy mode because they're in competition.
Because when America dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, you had a bunch of Asian. I'm about to call them. You had a bunch of Japanese bitches.
Be careful, where you at? Yeah.
Well, Japanese I could talk shit about. You had a bunch of Japanese bitches becoming prostitutes. Do you know, in fact, that a woman that was born before 1980, 90% of those bitches were prostitutes for the GI soldiers, and these hoes were marrying them, having half babies when America literally dropped an atomic bomb on their country twice.
Yeah, but their men were almost gone. Remember?
No, but I mean these hoes. The only.
What the hoes do if there's no dudes to fall back on?
The only woman I would say that has been that relied on their man. Time of trauma was like that and got down with the get down were the Russian women when Stalin, I believe it was Stalin. I don't know, but when Russia was invaded, and they had women literally with Molotov cocktails riding horses against tanks, and Russian women were getting down like that. So, outside of Russian women, black women have been pretty resilient to trauma, and they have responded.
Hell no! Stop.
Wait.
Hell no.
We gonna slow down right there because I was gonna do a whole show about trauma because I don't think they've been traumatized in the first place.
No,
but I don't want to get into all that right now. No, I don't.
Okay.
But what I am gonna say when it comes to strength that we should see in women,
right?
I'm not. See, I wasn't comparing to somebody else. I was just thinking about a woman being strong. Period. Where is quote unquote strength should be in women. I want to see strength of femininity. Do I see that amongst black women? No. Just flat out no.
Next one.
When it comes to nurturing, do I really see them loving their own children? You know, people who came out of their own womb. No, I don't.
No, I disagree with that. I think they love them the best way they can. It might not be the most effective way, but they love them the best way they can.
I'm gonna say the majority of them don't seem to love their children. I've been saying this for years at this point.
I disagree with that.
I'm gonna take this back to the macro if I can. Like, I don't really see existence as some super powerful strength at all. Like, I mean, we could talk about like resilience, but I would put like that into like a different category altogether. I think that fighting the dominant society is strength. Like, that's some actual strength. And like, if you're actually doing something,
that's masculine strength. That's
masculine.
That's masculine.
No, there's things that women can do to support that.
And
exactly.
what I would do,
they can. Exactly.
But hold on. The thing about it is that so like for example, right? Okay, so we want to say being supportive, right? Being supportive is being strength for a woman, right? Can we all agree that?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go with that. Yeah.
The black woman has been extremely supportive to the white man and kicking our ass. There you go.
God damn. They are strong. You're right.
Extremely
that
supportive.
Is so sad. Extremely supportive. Yeah, they strong. There we go. You convinced me. I'm going with it. They strong.
Oh, you flipped them.
Yeah, they're strong. He's right. They're really good at being adversaries towards their own men. That's strength.
Well, I'm gonna say I don't think they're truly supportive of white men like that. They are adversary toward us, so I'm not gonna say that. But they're not under direct leadership either. Most of them just doing stuff in the wind, hoping some white man will take them at some point. They're just in the wind doing it.
So
They
so
do.
that's commitment right there. I'm gonna fuck him up on the hook. On the hook.
Wait, but is that
He said,
commitment to him or is that
I don't
commitment to power? Is that
Come
commitment to
on,
Brad or
man.
is
listen.
that commitment to Brad's power?
Brother,
Listen, y'all.
I
we
can be
gotta
know
because if
say
you're
how
telling
we
me,
proud of that one, man.
hold on. If you're telling me that supportive of being female and they're not under leadership and they're trying to get leadership and they gonna do shit on GP just to get hope to be picked, come on, brothers. Come on. We gotta be
You have a point. You got a point. You got a point. But Black Rule has come up, so let me let him get the mic. Black Rule, you have him, my brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was an interesting question you pose. I think physiologically, I think African American women are probably are the most durable females, certainly in the Western world. I mean, I don't know how, Africa being South-Saharan Africa being the most genetically diverse region on Earth, maybe the human potential in South-Saharan Africa is probably the greatest there is on the planet, if that's true. But I think in terms of certainly the Western world, Black women probably are the strongest, most durable women, maybe physiologically. The comparisons are tough because, no other group of women have really been subjugated to the particular environmental and sociological and economic issues that Black American women have had. And I'm not taking anything away from women, even including especially other Black women, let's say in the Caribbean or let's say those in Europe or et cetera, or whatever. But here in sort of the mouth of the demon of America, this is a uniquely onerous environment the last 420 odd years or whatever for what we call Black American people. I would say Black American women rate pretty well with other women. The comparisons are tough with other women because again they're not necessarily having the exact same experiences that these particular women have had. I would, however, say we're definitely at a point now where how Black women have been bred and raised up to this point that their view of their strength is actually their weakness because their view of their strength compels them to neuter Black men. And by neutering Black men, they make Black people weaker overall. I don't know if that's necessarily aligned with the argument that you're making here, Roger, but that's sort of my interpretation of
I'm in line
what
with you.
it is.
I'm saying the same thing you are. So I'm in line with you. I'm saying the same thing you are.
I'm going to disagree with that a little bit, though.
By them doing that, that means that they falling weak to the
Well,
society.
well, no. So hold on. So there, that's not your when you say interpretation of strength. Their interpretation of strength has nothing to do with them being strong. All it has to do with them is them being able to take abuse. But strength isn't just resilience or reception of abuse, it's also action. And their actions, honestly, are the actions of weak people in fear. That's not strength,
Right.
right? Their
Well,
actions are literally of people.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I
Yeah.
mean, I'm looking at it in relation to the unique set of circumstances in which Black American women have been confronted with. I'm not disagreeing with you, but what my retort to that would be, I doubt any other group of women, certainly in this country, would do better under the same or similar circumstance.
I agree. They would blow their
I think white women would be obliterated by it.
yeah. They would blow their
Maybe some more rigorous Latino women could stand up to it. I don't think Asian women could have stood up to it. I think
Not
there
at all.
is
Yeah.
something in the DNA. I think there is something in the DNA of black people and of black women itself that make us more durable. Now, whether we make the optimal utilization of that, I think that's a different issue.
Yeah, I
That's
agree
You know,
with that. 'Cause
durable and
I
see, I don't
definitely
know
agree
what
with that. Well, hold on one second. I definitely agree with that because anyone else that would be subjugated for so long and so entrenched because it's throughout the system of American society. It's an American pastime. They would blow their brains out. So I'm definitely in
well,
line with that. Now,
I
hold on.
think you guys are right in that case.
Let me land my
Yeah, yeah,
plane.
sorry. Sorry.
Because I think we have to look at it in two ways. Are black women strong to the benefit of black community and black men? No, you have that point. But are they physiologically strong, resilient, and as far as supportive and picking white men and white supremacy? Yes. And so whenever we talk about they're not doing this for us, they're not doing that for us, that's because they picked the other side. So the question is, are they doing this for the other side? Are they looking for white men leadership? Yes. Are they being supportive to the systematic structure of the majority? Yes. Are they improving themselves, hoping to get half-free babies and things like that? Yes.
So we
Okay,
have
but they're
three issues here.
well, but hold on. They're sacrificing all the things that actually makes a woman strong. What you just really described are masculine traits. What we're talking about are women, not men. We keep this is our problem. We convoluting what a strong man is
So what
and
is a strong
associating
woman?
that to our women. A strong woman is a feminine woman.
Okay.
A woman who's familial focused, focused on her children, focused on her husband, making sure that the foundations of her family are supported, nurtured,
I think that's
expressed.
opinion. I think that's
She
opinion.
shows she no that's what the whole description of a strong woman is. That's what it's always been because of their
Let's look.
role in society.
Let's
Their role in society has never been leading out in the front of an army. What you're describing are masculine tendencies and practices and roles. They cannot, if they're there to support the other side and they out here destroying niggas to support the other side, they're acting like men.
Understand what's
Yeah.
going on here.
Yeah.
We have
I mean,
such a thing
I
as
would
strong
say,
character, and then we have strong capacity, and those are two different things. So, like your strength and your capacity, and what you're able to endure is one thing. Your strength and character is another separate thing, and then throw in the comparative social dominance that we have to live under. Then that throws another dynamic into play. Go for it, Uru.
well, I
Well,
mean, I think you can say they're functionally weak. I think this would be consistent with what Truth Teller is saying, in that their actions compromise the family, compromise the community, and therefore, no matter like you could have somebody who is super powered, for example, some meta human, just to exaggerate the point. But if they're doing something that's destructive or contradictory to the interests of the masses of people of their own group, then they are functionally weak, even in spite of whatever sort of unique power or ability they may have. So I would agree they are, as a collective, they're functionally weak, even though their capacity, human capacity, is much greater than sadly they exhibit right now.
Okay, so I want to admit this into evidence. So this is by discovery, mood, and anxiety, and what is the other one from? Some anthropology shit. Okay, traits of a strong woman: self confidence, ownership of happiness, setting boundaries, resilience, authenticity, optimism, persistence, emotional intelligence, and self-reflection. So these are so 1, 2.
A lot of that goes against black women.
Self-confidence.
I'm
Self-confidence.
I don't know where you pulled that from, but a lot of that
It didn't
black
help.
women ain't with that.
Self-confidence. I'll give them a 10 out of 10.
Hold on.
Ownership of their own happiness, 1 out of 10. Boundary settings.
They don't even wear their own hair.
Boundaries. Well, I gave it 1 out of 10. I gave it 1 out of 10, right? Boundary settings. Boundary settings.
He's laughing while he's reading the list.
I'm going to get this account caveat. If you're pookie, it's 1 out of 10. If you're not a pookie, it's 10 out of 10. Resilience because of white supremacy, racism, 10 out of 10. Authenticity.
I say 1 out of 10 on that one.
I would say no. I was 0 out of 10 because they got fake eyelashes, fake hair, and fake all that makeup. It was 0 out of 10.
God damn.
Optimism.
No.
5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. Well, I mean, they're pretty optimistic that niggas ain't shit, right? So 5 out of 10.
Okay.
That don't sound like optimism to me, but okay.
That's more Afro pessimism.
Persistence, 10 out of 10. They will get a nigga fired for cancel culture. 10 out of 10. Emotional intelligence.
In one area.
1 out of 10. And then self-reflection, 0. For all women, 0.
You gonna do -10?
Might as well have. Once he read the list, I knew they wasn't it. Whoever that person was to put that list together, I knew black women didn't fit that list when he read it.
I don't know. It's AI, but I don't know if y'all realize this. That list is nothing more than describing a good human being. So basically, what we're saying is they're not even good humans, much less good female humans.
Bro, I done been said that. I've been came to the conclusion years ago that as a collective, black women just aren't good people. You know what I'm saying? A few people know me for saying that. So, I mean, that's just, it is what it is at the end of the day. You know?
No, they didn't do bad. I mean, they made passing mark.
Bro, I mean, my thing is this. I don't see strength in them at all because, you know, and I'm talking about the general ones. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course you can find some good women here or there, but bro, if your kids are failing in school, I don't see strength in that. How do you be a mom and your kids are failing? I don't understand it. That's just unfathomable to me.
But see, the thing about it is, majority of women are not mothers, though, right? So
the ones that are, though, their kids fail.
Oh, well, I mean, but then that's a different thing because since majority of black women are not mothers, we can't kind of pin that on.
Whoa! Wait a minute, no, isn't it like 60-something% from like 15 to like 49, like 64%?
I thought it was more close to half and half. I ain't looked at the numbers in a while.
It's 60 something that are mothers and 39 that are not.
Hold on.
So it's almost 50-50.
Yeah, quick search to do it. Quick search. We gonna search and see what happens because that's what he's doing right now when he said, "Hold on." He's gonna Google.
Or maybe it's the other way. 39 are and 60 are.
Yeah.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
I think y'all are confusing breeders with mothers.
No, they mamas too. The law says so. they mamas too.
My thing is, regardless of what you call them, when your children are failing. Children don't have dads. Some children don't even know who their father is. I don't see strength of women in none of that. Okay? I don't see strength of women in not raising your children to be able to perform well in a society when they become grown. I've been said the job of a parent is to make sure their child does not need them. Not when you die, your child has to now struggle because they can't lean on you no more. I don't see the strength in them. You know, men have to get out in society and go get it for themselves. A lot of black men who was raised by their mamas got to learn almost everything again and go about stuff a whole different way because they now have figured out the world will not treat you like a girl. And that's just real talk. They have the expectation of going out into the world and being treated like a girl. And they have to, and a lot of them learn a very hard way that that's not true.
61% of black women are mothers. Okay, so we can tag it with the mother line then. All right, that's fair. Because 61% are mothers. So
All right.
Wait, what percentage of men are fathers?
I don't know.
Something
Hold on.
like 40 something, maybe like 46 or something.
Yeah, somewhere around 45 is a good way to put it. Just somewhere right around 45%.
Oh, before I forget, I remember somebody said earlier they were saying they're not they wasn't judging by being the women's strength, right? But that when women say they're strong black women, they're judging it towards us. They're not judging it towards other women, and I think that's what everything kind of
Yeah,
falls
46.
in. They're judging. When they say black girl magic or they strong black women, they're not judging it against other women. They judge it against us most of the time.
Well, I mean, that's
So
just dumb, right? That's just dumb. So, but I mean, that's why I made it clear that I'm comparing them to other women. But there's 46% of black adult men who are fathers.
And I'm just saying that I brought the subject up, not even necessarily thinking about the comparison of other women. I'm just thinking about a woman in general. What do I believe strength in a woman is? And for the most part, I do not see that amongst black women. I see all types of excuses and all type of nonsense going on and all type of begging that proves that they're not strong. So to me, it's a crazy concept that we live in a country where black women are known for being these strong, independent women that don't need no man, and you don't see strength in just about none of them. A woman who can't keep her marriage together, now I grant it, I will grant the thing if the guy cheated, but if you can't keep a marriage together and that didn't even happen, where are you strong at? I don't get that. And black women get divorced like a mug. Main reason, what they say, irreconcilable differences. You know what I'm saying? They're not get divorced because somebody cheated on them or broke a vow. They just leave them for the sake of leaving. How is that strength? You can't get through nothing with your husband.
Hey, Roger.
Go ahead, turn around.
Physically, Sha'Carri Richardson is physically elite athlete. That's probably stronger than 99% of the women, but she's got all she's trained for is to run. The other women of the other races can't run with.
Man, you going in and out, turn around. I'm
And
trying to get your
women are
point.
trained to.
They got you. They kidnapped tunnel runner.
Now I heard when you back turn around. We heard you say all Sha'Carri can do is run. That's what she's been trained to do. And you were saying something about other women, but we didn't hear it.
Other women are trained to be wives, trained to be mates to their men, and that what makes them stronger because they are strong in the things that matter. Having a woman that could run, a 10-second 100-yard dash is not really applicable to most men. They don't need that, but they do need a woman to cook and clean and have their children. So that's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's real talk, and I'm gonna say, if your kids are not being raised properly and they're not being raised to be good functioning adults in the society, then you're a failure as a mother. That's just it. I mean, if you remove the guy from the picture and then your kids can't operate in society well and got to relearn stuff from an adult perspective instead of a child's perspective, you fail.
Yeah, I want to kind of chime in on that one there because, like, the idea is that
happiness for their children or they marriage. They can't even sacrifice it.
Well, but I am saying there is a certain point that it's just plain, no, you a failure. Your children are now adults. They are in society, especially once they leave your home. Now you're grown because these kids got to go live on their own. If they cannot function well in a society on their own based off the training you gave them as a child, you literally fail. Your parents' job is to put a child in a position where they don't need them anymore. It's great to be able to go back to your parents for advice, but you're not supposed to need them. I mean, I'll call my dad and ask a question, get some advice, but I don't need my dad to be alive and be functionally well.
Right.
Is my connection still working? I couldn't tell because I was like cutting out a little bit.
You hear you loud and clear now. So go ahead and say it because we got H. Revelton join us. I'm gonna bring him in after you. So go ahead.
All right. So here's my perspective. I think that the idea of the strength really kind of comes back down to like connection. I think that if you're isolated and choose to be isolated off on your own and do things that separate and stop you from connection, that actually does the opposite of making you strong. That makes you weak. You're stronger together. I think that's where we have to kind of go and that's another perspective that we have to look at when we kind of look at this whole strength idea.
The average black woman isn't worth marrying to anyone. That sounds like failure to me. I don't see strength when women can't even teach their girls how to marry. How come no dude to take them? You got all these single black women out here. Nobody wants them. And I'm supposed to see strength in that? It just don't add up to me. But H. Rebels is here, and I'm going to go ahead and give him the mic. You got it, H. Rebels.
Hey, hello, Roger. Shout out to you, gentlemen. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to, hear a lot of your commentary. So, just excuse me if I, repeat some of the points. I will say this right from the rip. I heard you guys talking about, preparing your children to function as adults without you. And I'll just go ahead and give you this line. I think I heard it in a movie. If I have not prepared you well enough to live without me as an adult, then I have failed as a father. I think that was King T'Chaka that said that to T'Challa, right? But at any rate, this thing about the superwoman concept. So I'm listening to this woman explain this superwoman schema, and I'm like, well, damn, that's all the stuff black men are suffering. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because like they came up with a prototype or a description of what this superwoman suffering syndrome is actually and how it's affecting black women. But I'm like, everything that she listed actually negatively affects black men. I don't want to make this about black men because that's not what the topic is. But I was just kind of saw that parallel, and I was it's just very interesting. So we care about it when it happens to women, but we don't care about it when it happens to men. But anyway, and then the other thing too is that, look, if somebody just mentioned isolation, look, a lot of this can actually be solved just by working with the group. Like that's literally it. I'm looking at the issues and the problems, and the fact that a lot of women are overloaded, and we're focusing on black women here, but this applies to other women, but specifically black women since they're the most unmarried and kind of least partnered, and then they have a lot of kids that they're taking care of, and they're stressed out because they have a lot of responsibilities. There's nobody to balance them out. That's really what's going on, and that seems like a much simpler solution than all of more studies, more reasons why they have all these health issues, trying to figure out how to work past this without coming together and being part of a community. Like a community actually lightens your load, so that would take a lot of that away. And then the thing as it relates to those stereotypes, and this will kind of be the last point here, is that the Jezebel, the Mammy stereotypes, and the Sapphire stereotype, that's going to always be there. The thing is that nobody should be able to look at you as a collective or the majority of you and be able to put you into that box. Do we have some of those women that are doing all of that stuff? They're sassy, they're every time you turn around, they're yelling and screaming at somebody. You kind of got to tell somebody off. Do we have the Jezebel? They can't stay out of, they hop from bed to bed. Yeah, absolutely. And the Mary stereotype actually is a good thing if it's properly implemented. You want that caretaker type. You just the way it's set up in society is that it's exploitative of women, or at least black women anyway. So, and that they mentioned the history of that, so I won't go into it. But the thing is that the tone down on those stereotypes, it just makes sense to just basically get away from that. There should be a group of women that actually represent anything negative about those stereotypes. So they really shouldn't be able to be a big thing, but yet it is. So that's kind of where they are on it. But I'll just say community, that would actually help them out tremendously. I'm not sure why they just don't want to do it. Well, we know some of the reasons. I'm just saying it seems like they don't want to do it. I'll end there.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this from Black Who Strikes. Remember I told you I read everything he put in, at least if I see it. He said the proudest moment any father can have is to know his adult children can survive and thrive without him. And you know what? That's why, when you have a father in the picture, of course, you usually get better outcomes because that's what the man is going for. I want to make sure my kids are going to be good when I'm dead and gone. Every good father is thinking about that. Black women, they use their children to get stuff so they can quote unquote thrive off of their kids. So they do things in a totally different way. And it just is what it is. And what I'm saying is this stuff is not indicators of strength. When I look at them as a collective, now I admit it, I love Black women as a collective, but that don't mean I don't see how weak they are. They don't come across as strong women in no real way. They're not religiously strong. They're not educationally strong. I know they say, well, we the most educated. Your education ain't did squat for you. Not from a collective standpoint. Collectively, Black women's education has not improved the Black community. So you have no strength in education to me. Until I see good results, it don't mean squat. Okay? They're not strong with health. There's nothing we really can name that's a positive thing that they're strong in. So why would I look at them and see strong women? No, I don't see strength at all. I see a bunch of weakness. And I'm just keeping it real. And now if y'all can tell me what they strong in, have at it. Anything positive that they're actually strong in.
A single twig is easy to break, and a single woman in a society like this is easier to break.
Which means that there's no strength to see. And that's why we got to stop operating with this narrative of they're strong. They're not. They weak. And we got to act like they weak. If we act like they weak, we going to get better results. Because when you recognize something and you operate on something real, you normally get better results. I know if I walk out into the street dangerous. A car can come flying out of nowhere. So I look both ways. If I didn't think that was true, I'd just walk out there and think everybody gonna stop in time. I don't know you're gonna see me in time enough to stop. You could be looking at your phone and I'm crossing the street and boom, I'm gone. Now I understand people have the right of way. Pedestrians always got the right of way. But how do I know you're not looking on your phone when I cross that street? See, I act like the world is real so I can get a decent result out here. So me being real, I don't see Black women showing strength in any positive thing that any of us can name right now. And if anybody can name a positive thing that they're showing strength in, please say it.
And it's got to be an area that where at least like over 50% of them actually, have some type of, positive results. And if you wanted to pick the areas, you could talk about finance. You could talk about finance, child rearing, what do you call it, wealth, a few other areas as it relates to behavior. Like there's ways to measure it. Somebody actually came up with some categories. I can't remember, but there was some of the things that talking about health. That's what it was. Health, wealth, finances, and child rearing and stuff like that. So as it relates to the kids, by the way, and this is not a good statistic, but this is what it is. Over 80% of Black children cannot read or perform math functions beyond the 8th grade. They get to the 8th grade and they get stuck. Now, I've never and when I say community, right, I actually mean working with men, because that's what the community consists of: men, women, and children. So when you talk to a father that has kids, I've never even ran into that. I've never even heard of that being a problem. Personally for me, all my kids are reading at college level. I know because they all went to college or trade school. Trade school is actually college too. They do university stuff in trade school too. So all of them are at college level. I didn't even think that was a problem. I didn't even know that was as bad a problem as it is. So that right there, just working with men is going to improve reading comprehension levels, math levels, all of that stuff. Just that alone. If you're trying to do that by yourself and you're already working stressed out, doing a job by yourself, and you raising 2 or 3 kids and you doing all that by yourself, I just don't see how you can get it done. Men can get it done, but the women have shown that they can't. And that's just, it's not a dig against them. It's just what it is. That's just how it is. So if we have the data, then just, you got to internalize that, look at it, and then work towards solutions. Link up with a good man. Let him take some of that burden off of you.
Now, I'm going to say this whole thing about how women are having issues and medical issues and stress. To me, you have medical issues and stress because something's wrong. It's not a proof of strength. If anything, you could say this is a proof of lack of strength. So why do they need all these medications all of a sudden? Why they getting on all these pills? Why they getting stressed out? If you're strong, can't you just do this stuff and keep it moving? You don't need to complain and go get all this extra help if you're strong in this area. It's nice to have help, but you don't need help in the area you're strong in. You see what I'm saying? So
Again,
where is the strength at?
Again, when Superman is operating at peak capacity, when was the last time that Superman ever asked Batman for help? Let alone begging. Always begging.
And that's a very real thing. And that's why I'm glad I talked about the other day, if y'all was here, about how black women be dry begging on a regular basis. We don't even recognize it. We heard them beg so much, we don't recognize it as begging. When they say, well, you need to come in and be able to take care of me and my children, they're begging. You don't even see that as begging because you're so used to it. That's a woman begging. I got kids. I can't do what I need to do on my own. Will one of y'all please come help me? That's what she actually saying. She's just too arrogant to say it in a nice way. But that's begging.
Arrogant begging, swaggy begging.
If you ain't sent no money to my cash app before we go on the date, you ain't good enough for me. That's begging. That's all that is. It's begging. I'm in a bad situation. Yes, I want somebody to go out. I want somebody to give me some attention. But you know what I need right now? I need bills paid because I'm messed up. So I'm begging, but I got too much pride to let y'all know that I'm begging.
Again, always begging.
Now, if other women would have been through the stuff that black women went through, could they have made it? I don't know. They probably wouldn't have. But that don't mean it's okay for black women to beg.
In what way are y'all saying that? Because you're saying the other women could, because a lot of people saying the other women couldn't survive it, but the women, are you saying just because they're alive? Because they're not surviving it mentally.
Well, my thing is, there's been some areas that they have shown some weaknesses in but they've been through some different conditions. But I don't think it makes a difference at the end of the day. If you ain't getting the job done that you need to get done, I don't see strength. Unfortunately, and this is something I've been saying, people got to get over the fact that life ain't fair. It just ain't. Ain't none of us got the power to make it fair. So I don't even see it as a big deal because I can't fix it, so I don't worry about it. And shout out to Black Who Strikes. Now I just said something about begging. He said, and it's often mixed with dry hooking. And that's real talk right there. When these women talking about, in order to take me out, I need $300, $500, whatever. Yeah, they dry hooking this well. Yeah, is y'all gonna go for it? And to me, it is not strength that you have amongst black women. I'm gonna say hoe culture, because whores are respectable enough to at least tell me they charging me for sex. Hoes try to deceive me into paying for sex. See, a whore got in my vehicle. She said it's gonna be $100. I thought I was just hollering at some chick. She said, no, it's $100. I was like, no, I ain't know that's what you was on. My bad. But see, she respected me enough to tell me through the door, no, I'm out here selling this thing. And you can have some. Just give me $100 and it's good. And we on and popping. That ain't what I was looking for. The whore respected me and respected herself to say, hey, this what time I'm on. I got money to make. Either you gonna pay me this money and we can get it rocking, or I got to go and do what I'm trying to do out here. See, I didn't look at her in no sense of disgust. I just say, oh, okay, I mistook it. My bad. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mean to waste your time because I wouldn't have let you in the car if I knew that's what you was on. You see what I'm saying? The whore is honest.
Yeah,
The
that kind
hoe,
of brings me.
go
That
ahead, go ahead.
kind of
Say what
like
you gonna say.
sounds a lot. That sounds a whole lot like that tennis player thing, like with that $1,000 for a date thing, because it's just honest. It's like either it's not really 1,000 and you just want to know if dude like had it like that, or it's not really a date because if you're with somebody that's on your level that you think is like artists above your level, his time is just as valuable as your time then. Like either it ain't really a date for real, or you ain't really, for real charging that $1,000 like that.
Okay. Now I'm not aware of that story, so I'm gonna hold my comments. But if you charge them $1,000, sound like a hoe to me, okay? Because a whore is not even a question about are you gonna pay or not. That's what whores do, and I can at least respect the honesty. They just tell you what their price is up front. I can respect that at the end of the day, you know. But my thing is, do you go into a whole culture if you're not getting your way in society? Because black women quick to sell it.
Oh,
You know, they done fought hard to gain a reputation of America's hoes. Because when I was a kid, black women were not America's hoes. It was white women. And I'm saying that straight up. I know when I was a kid, white women were America's hoes. Point blank, period. That's what it was. It wasn't no arguing about it. Now black women are America's hoes. They
Hey, so,
fought for that spot.
Raj, you know something else that was wrong with that analysis that the narrator gave during the video is that part of the solution wasn't actually really working with the community. It was basically still trying to do the stuff you're doing, but trying to solve the problem yourself. That's how you have the problem. That's one of the main reasons you have the problems in the first place, is that you're trying to do a bunch of stuff by yourself and without the help of the community. And again, I want to emphasize community includes men, because when people say that, they're trying to figure out a way to kind of get the benefits of a community without actually having to be a part of a family and a legitimate community with everybody working together. See,
Well, they don't think when we become men, women don't think we're part of the community anymore. They separate themselves from us. The black women, they separate themselves from us. Say black women instead of black people. I don't know when that happened. I just know it started. I started hearing people say that, and I'm like, when we saying we want stuff for black people, we're including you. When we say it out loud, but you just really saying that you want stuff for black women. That's the only thing they say.
yeah, that was no more clear than remember Ice Cube's plan for America, Black America. He had his whole contract, and then he's got up there with 3 older women, and they were like, "Well, black women need something different." He's like, "Well, wait a minute, we're talking about Black America. That ain't you part of Black America?" Like he asked him that question. That was a legit question.
I mean, what they
Like you
said.
don't
What
consider
else?
you're part of the group?
Yeah.
Like how you
What?
not part of Black America? That's black men, women, and children. You part of the community. We already built it in for you. You just got to get on board with it and help us support it. Like we already planned you in. You know, how are you separate when we factor you into the equation?
What the thing is that a lot of black men hadn't paid attention to black women wasn't feeling them like that, and that was just a spot where Cube had to ask that question based on what he said and based on how they responded. Ain't you part of the community? And this is what black men need to understand: black women are not the community. The community is always men. Then the women that they're married to and the children that live in their home. Anybody else, we don't know what you are. Okay, you can be a traitor in a second. So the one of the black men's main problem is thinking that they're in a community with a bunch of unmarried women. If you're an unmarried woman and you don't live in your father's home, we don't know what's going on with you. You may marry a white man one day. So she's still part of the black community. She married to a white man?
No.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, if they're not married to us, they're not in the same community with us. Women just participate in communities. They are not part of a community. If you're part of a community, you're gonna die for it. Okay. Men, we fight. We done go to war and all kinds of stuff. We fight over this stuff. So they can't be part of a community they're unwilling to fight for. They won't even do the simple stuff like teaching your kid how to read. You can read yourself, but you won't teach your child how to read. And y'all look at those women and say they part of the community. How? Now I understand we were socialized that way, but I'm saying is you got to break stuff and get back to what's real. And when you start looking at what's real, Black women shouldn't have no reputation of being strong and independent because you don't see the evidence of it. You know,
But been letting people say that, and I'm glad you said that, because we've been letting people say like the Black women are the backbone of the community. We've been letting them say that without actually having to prove it. We just let them say shit out loud, and then that rhetoric keep on getting spewed out. It's spewed out that people start saying, "Oh yeah, I hear people saying that all the time that never experienced that shit, and they just say it because they heard somebody say it on TV."
Yep, and I've been saying since I was a kid they haven't been a backbone of the community. I've been literally saying that since I was a kid. Because I would be like, how?
Yeah, but a major counter to that is, that do you hear any other group of women saying that though? Like they're the backbone.
Yeah. What? But
like,
the thing is,
so you guys are the only ones operating in a manner that says you're the one holding up the community or whatever it is you think a community is, but nobody else is doing that. So you're doing everything, you're doing something opposite. And I'm not saying we need to copy what everybody else is doing, but you can take what other groups and special interest groups and ethnicities and races and all these other countries, you can take something good from what it is they're doing when you see the positive outcomes. You go, you know what? We probably should be doing that too, especially if it has positive results. Like I don't see the issue with that.
All right,
Well,
now
here's
Black Rule Strike says the white feminists taught them they had to do that to get white supremacist butter biscuits, and I'm gonna have to fully agree with that. When Black women don't operate as good Black women, let's keep it real. They are in search of butter biscuits at the end of the day. And they're willing to destroy everything Black men build in order to get them butter biscuits. And we just ain't acting like it's what's real. So that's why I'm saying, look, if we gonna have a real chance at being the best, you got to deal with reality as it is. You once you accept reality as it is, you can push it in the direction that you want it to go in. But if you haven't accepted it yet, how you gonna push it to any direction that you wanted to go in? So when people say Black women are strong, and you just don't say nothing about it, I mean, unfortunately, y'all, silence is consent. That's just the way it works. Silence is consent. They're not strong. You know what I'm saying? I don't see the evidence of strength. If they are strong, we see the evidence. The majority of them are totally unmarried. That tell you a lot about they not strong in the first place. Because if they were strong in a woman's way, men would be taking them off the market, and men ain't doing it. Now I got someone backstage named Lee. Lee, you're gonna have to turn your camera off, and then I bring you up. Turn your camera off. Okay, he ain't heard me yet, so he'll be back there until he turns his camera off. Okay, we gonna keep it moving though. We gonna keep it moving. All right.
All right, so we talked about community. We got into a discussion now about community, and I think that's good because the end of the video was an anti-community message. The whole remedy for all of the ills that Black women were facing was basically selfishness, which is the opposite of community.
All right. Absolutely, and the thing is, when you're concerned about yourself, then you're not concerned about the community. Because everybody should be able to figure out easy that a community is always the men. When the men die, that community no longer exists. That's been the way historically since this has been a planet. It's never been because the women exist, we have a community. It's always been because the men exist, you have a community. Women just participate in the community. They are not a community. And that's just the way it is. Because they ain't gonna fight for one. They ain't finna go to war for one. You ain't heard about one battle that women just say, hey, you know what? This is our community. We're going to go to war over that don't happen in real life. Might be in a good movie or something, but that ain't the real thing. Okay. But we do have somebody named Lee that wants to come up. So let me give Lee the floor real quick so we can see where he's coming from. Lee, you got the floor. Go ahead. Lee, if you want to speak, this is your chance.
Yeah, I just had something brief to just kind of say. I think we're trying to make this
Lee, you
huge.
want to speak? This is your chance.
Yeah, I'm speaking.
Hold on, Lee. Turn your YouTube off.
I think we're trying to make
Lee,
this.
turn off your YouTube. You got your YouTube going in the background.
Yeah, I'm speaking.
Hold on, Lee. Turn your YouTube off.
I think we're trying to. Okay, how about that?
There
Is
you
that
go.
better?
There you go. Okay. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Hello?
We hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I turn YouTube off, I can't hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so all I want to say is that
Go ahead.
okay, if I turn my YouTube off.
All right. I just took him off the stage. Lee, I know you can hear me backstage. You backstage now, man. I don't know what's going on with you, brother. I'm gonna say reset your phone. Hopefully that will help. But we can't have you up here with your YouTube playing in the background. You're gonna have to stop it, man. Because we hear it, and therefore we're not gonna have a conversation with that going on. So you gotta. I'm gonna kick you off. I'm not saying you can't get back on. I am gonna kick you off. Get your phone adjusted so we can hear you without hearing that YouTube in the background, and we can rock with you. But we can't have you on the show, and that's going on because y'all. This is a show just for all y'all. So this ain't your mama living room. This is a show. Okay, this ain't the porch. This ain't the corner at the liquor store. This is a broadcast for people in the public. We got to be able to clearly hear folks. Now, since Champ, you just came back up, I'll go ahead and give you the flow since you just came back. Go ahead, Champ.
Hey, what's going on, brothers? How you doing, Roger? Hope y'all having a good Tuesday. You know, I've been listening to you guys, all morning and everything else, and something just popped up. Anybody remember Karen White? Back in 1988, I was at a Walmart store. I just got back out about 30 minutes ago, and they were playing this song that she did called "I'm Not Your Superwoman," and I remember that song clear as day. Every day, I mean, my mom used to play that song a lot and everything else, and I would sit up there listening. And I was sitting there listening to some of the ladies. There were some white ladies that were listening to that song. They were like humming and all that type of stuff and everything else. And there was this one black woman, who was kind of laughing about it. But lyrics in music, black women, let's face it, they're cerebral. They have a great memory and everything else. And lyrics like that can have a long lasting effect. Black women, ever since that song came on out, I see a lot of rebellion. They've always been rebellious and everything else, but that song kind of kept that thing going for black women to seek independence from black men and everything else, and that's how we got where we are today. Single mother issues, you know, without a man in the house, got a whole bunch of children getting in trouble with the law and everything else. So that what I'm saying is that music, lyrics, and everything else can have a huge impact in the thinking of a lot of these sisters and everything else. And today, right now, it's gotten worse with social media and everything else, especially when they go on TikTok and everything else. You know, talking about black men being dusky and everything else, and then they're talking about their grievances and everything else with society and everything else. So a lot of this, this stuff that's been going on back then is really out in the open right now through social media and everything else. And that's why a lot of black women are struggling right now because, they've listened to women, through their music and everything else, through generations, and they make these type of decisions, that put them in this condition where they are right now. So, I mean, they have no one to. I mean, they've always blamed black men for everything. But I think right now the excuses right now starting to catch up against them and everything else. So I'm gonna land my plane right there. Just want to make a point right over there about how music and how one person's song can have an impact on the psyche and the mindset of some of these
You're
women.
onto something. You're
Yeah,
absolutely onto something because repetition affects the psychology of people. Like you hear something over and over and over again, and eventually you believe it.
right,
Yeah.
right,
And
exactly.
I'm gonna say that shows their weakness. Because if you can't listen to a song and fall for some dumb message the song is putting out, that is not a showing of strength. That shows you're weak. You're easily programmed.
Yeah,
So,
that's that
go ahead.
song. I'm not your superwoman. Basically bashing her married man and everything else. And I remember that video too because she ended up, getting divorced. It ended
But
up,
can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Let me ask you a question.
yeah, sure.
Who wrote and produced that Superwoman song? Who wrote and produced that Superwoman song? It's a familiar duo.
I'm not sure.
L.A. Reid and a lot of these simp ass Andrews music in the 80s and 90s were written by, produced by black men.
Yeah,
And I'm going to totally own up to it. Black male baby boomers, guys of my cohort, everybody else with that bullshit.
yeah,
So yeah, the women were singing them songs, the TLC songs, all the songs were being written and produced by black men. All of them.
I'm trying to think of the
Those
man.
women were just basically puppets for a kind of artistic treachery that a select group of black men created and perpetuated.
If I'm not mistaken, Black
The
Mirror.
effects, let me finish. We're going to talk about these things. We often mention these things as an influence in what got us to this point. We got to tell the whole truth. It's a select group of mostly black men who wrote and produced it.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Babyface wrote the song. Either him or L.A. Reid.
L.A. Reid and Babyface are credited with writing and producing that song. And Daryl Simmons, they're the third lesser known party to that trio of musical producers and arrangers during that tour.
Yeah.
And like I say, a lot of this misandrous, anti-treacherous type music, brothers were writing and producing that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I want y'all to remember that writers make a lot of money. And writers want to write something that's going to get a lot of airplay. And, if you write for a woman, you want to write something the woman wants to sing that the other women don't go for so it can stay in heavy rotation because that's how a lot of them made their money. So, hey, this is what women want to say. Now, I don't remember Karen White. I remember the song like a mug. So, like when you ask, do y'all remember Karen White? I don't know her at all.
I
But I
do. I
definitely know that.
remember her.
I just know the song. Because it was definitely playing heavy in my childhood. When you go to all the different little places, I remember that
Yeah.
song like a mug. So,
Yeah.
I just don't know her as an artist. But the thing is, that's why I'm saying we have to operate with the truth. We got to learn to go outside and act like it's actually cars on the road when we cross the street. So buying into this narrative that black women are strong, to me, is silly because I don't see the evidence of strength.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I forget what he called himself today, but the gentleman that was on earlier,
Shea butter.
Shea Butter, right?
Shea
I'm
butter.
not saying Shea Butter don't have some kind of point. If you start trying to compare them to other people, I wasn't even looking at them in the comparison standpoint. I'm just looking at who they are as a group of people, and I do not see strength being a thing that's coming from them. Because what I see what I see as women showing her strength, I just don't see the majority of them doing. I just don't see it.
They tried to do it, through music and everything else, and some of their lyrics, through Aretha Franklin. You make me feel like another, like Aretha Franklin, and then Shaka Khan, I'm every woman and everything else. They try to do that. And they try to,
music is one factor. There's a lot of different factors they use. It's been all over mainstream media because, just like the television shows they got, it goes and stuff like that. And then we as men, and this is one of the things that I was always acting a little funny about it, or I just found it an interesting thing. I always heard men when I was a kid talking about I could never do it without my wife, and they give props to their wives for something that I know. Now I'm a child. I don't know no better. I don't know the politics of it all. I'm a child. I'm hearing men saying, I could never do it without my wife. And I'm sitting there like, bro, you definitely could have did that without your wife. Like, she was not actually necessary. And I get it, the politics of it now, because you want to make your wife feel good about certain things and being a part of your life and all that type of stuff. I just think black men, we just kind of overcredited women to a point that it was no longer a positive thing. I'm pretty sure it came from a very
that was not the issue though, because if men very often throughout history and various cultures credit their wives with their success. The success is the mentality of the women that respond to that, because you'll have like I don't know, Ronald Reagan credited Nancy Reagan with the success of Ronald. That's the problem. A lot of it is about, look, in this relationship, in this family, in this environment that she helped you create, it allowed me to do this. I've been less able or less focused in doing this success of Ronald Reagan. When you look, and I'm just using them as an example. If you look at his life, he had been previously married. It was a failed marriage. He was like a failed actor or whatever. His career went away. He got with a certain kind of woman who provided a certain kind of environment. And a lot of times that is the difference for a lot of men. It ain't so much what the woman can do as much as sometimes what the woman allows to opens up the vision of a man to do. By the environment that she can help to create, women are important, provide some intangible benefit for us. The problem is what happens when the women start to then use that against you and sabotage you and then take credit for what you do. That's the problem.
And you make a good point, because men are still doing that to this day. But you don't see the women in other groups doing what black women are doing it at nowhere near the same level. So that is good. And I don't want men to not be able to credit their wives, because their wives is an important part of their life. Of course you want to credit your wife for stuff that's going on. It makes sense at the end of the day. But black women I guess they just took the ball and ran with it and went way further than what they needed to go. Way further. Well,
is black just breaking up on my side, or he breaking up for everybody? Because I can hear.
No, that's Black Rule. He was having he was chopping it on that last one. Well, yeah, he was a little choppy. That was him. But he does make a point. He does make a good point though, and it's sad that you have to take on a belief that you can do everything but give a black woman credit. That's a sad thing to really have to mentally deal with. Okay, I can marry a woman, and but if I give her credit, she gonna turn against me.
Hey, Roger. All I know is that 3 weeks ago, when my wife, she could have easily took off my headsets and threw them at me in the airport, but she was strong enough to hold her mouth and ask me politely to get my headsets. So she was very strong in that matter, because she could have easily did it. And I know Shakari could have did it real fast.
Now I'm gonna say this real quick. Shout out to OGPI. He says, "Are accolades deserved for basic acts?" I'm gonna say yes. One thing that adults they mess up on, I'm gonna say they mess up on it. Yes, you're supposed to give people rewards for things they're supposed to do. That's why people do the things they're supposed to, because that's human nature. Human nature responds on rewards. So if you're getting a reward, it encourages you to do the thing that you got a reward for. So you should actually credit people for doing things they are supposed to do. I know it's been people who they got an issue with there's some men with issues with women, some women with issues with men, and they say, well, you just want credit for something you're supposed to. That's exactly when you're supposed to get credit. When I go to school and got an A, I'm supposed to get credit. Was I supposed to get A? Yeah, that's what I was supposed to do. If I run a track meet and I win a race, I'm supposed to get credit. Was I supposed to attempt to win? Yeah, that's what I was supposed to do. If I'm on a hoop squad and we go out there to win and you give me credit because I won, yeah, that's what I was supposed to do. You give people credit for what they're supposed to do so they would do the thing they're supposed to do. If you don't give a man credit for getting up going to work every day, are you encouraging him to get up and go to work every day? Or does he need something special to happen for him to get credit to go to work every day, come home, use his money to pay bills and mortgages and all that, and make sure everybody okay? He need to do something special besides all that? No, you give people credit for what they're supposed to do. It encourages people to do what they're supposed to do. If I gotta wait till Christmas to get a thank you, I ain't doing spot for you, period. Because I ain't waiting to Christmas. If you don't appreciate what I do for you in January, I ain't gonna be around come Christmas. I'm just saying, okay? But we got Lee coming back, y'all. So Lee's trying to get back on. We're gonna make another attempt to get Lee the floor. So Lee, give me 1 second here. We finna get you on and let you get in. Hopefully we got your situation straight. All right. Lee, you're on the show. You got the mic.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, you know what? I still hear you. Try to pause your YouTube. Just pause and see if that'll work.
Yeah, no, YouTube's not even running.
Okay. Is that an echo? Maybe it's just an echo. So go ahead. I'm going to mute my mic. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Hey, I think there's some things like we kind of forget, and with the reality being is that the women, the black women, supposedly we're calling strong, or they're calling themselves strong. They're not really referring to themselves. The people that we're talking about are like our grandparents and maybe even our moms in some situations. So they're like riding on the shoulders of, say, giants. And they got hoodwinked by feminism from the 60s forward. And they fell for something that they thought was real and it wasn't. We all know this. The other thing is, for me anyway, I always put it on myself, meaning that I got to look at what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. For example, if I call myself a man, I look at back how dudes used to be, meaning that dudes worked on cars. Dudes did more than just go to work. All right. So this is my point I want to make. This is the main thing I think that a lot of guys really don't get. If you just got a man and a woman going to work every day and say they coming home and they paying their bills or whatever, in a woman's head, she's going to not only see you as just you being equal, she's going to see herself as being above you, because she's kind of reflecting in a lot of ways on what guys used to do. Meaning that, hey, dudes used to do stuff around the house. They used to fix something. They used to fix cars. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily right, but you kind of got to look at the psyche of most women. Most women, especially black women in our culture, have reverence for grandma and mama. They haven't been brought up to really respect a man, let alone a black man. You're more like serving a utility function. And here's the other thing. Black men are the same way. We have more respect for black women than we do for ourselves. You can look at how we even interact with each other most times. And most of us struggle with how we interact with each other. For example, we can go to a lot of different inner cities and we can see how gang culture is glorified. Those guys don't do nothing. They've been trained to go and exploit and hurt people that look just like them. They're not crime is opportunistic. Crime is mobile. They're not taking themselves out into any white neighborhoods because they know what will happen to them in the twinkling of an eye.
Okay. Well, you know, this one have to. Well, you got to mute your mic because I'm hearing myself. Mute your mic. Lee. Okay, I think you did it. Okay, cool. All right, now Lee, this is the thing. You're wrong. I'm just gonna tell you flat out, you're wrong. Okay. Some woman working next to a man, if she doesn't appreciate the man she gets to work next to, she needs to be put out the house. Now that's what needs to happen. She shouldn't be there, number one, until you married her. And if she don't want to marry the man and she has an issue with that man working every day or whatever, she needs to go. She's not supposed to be his wife. She's wrong. The woman is supposed to be led by the man she's with. There is no excuse for this. Black men need to take it upon themselves to get rid of women who are not truly under their leadership. There is no excuse. See, we go into these world where people want to make excuses for people not operating the way they're supposed to. There's no excuse. Just get out. You ain't gonna operate right. You got to go. Now, you said black men don't get along with each other. Black men get along with each other far more than black women do. Now, you pointed out gang culture. Let's be realistic. The average person ain't in the game. There's more people that are not in the game than people that are in the game. So you're talking about a very small percentage of men who get into a culture that comes with conflict because it's always your gang against everybody else's. The Crips are against the Bloods. The GDs are against the Vice Lords. The Vice Lords are against the Latin Kings. All gang activity means is opposition to every other gang. And that's not even the majority of men. That's a fraction of men. So, bad example. In reality, black men get along with each other far greater than black women do. They can't stand each other, brother. I don't know if you ever hung out with them, but they can't stand each other. They even created a term called frenemies because they're supposedly friends and enemies at the same time. That's how dysfunctional they are with each other. So the thing is, if women don't operate right, they're supposed to just be put to the side. And I'm going to say that's where black men need to improve at, because our issue is we don't break up with women the way we should. We start messing with them and then we never let them go. It is a shame that a black woman has to end a relationship on a regular basis with black men because we never put them out or just in the relationship so they would even think that they got to improve themselves. They think they perfect because ain't nobody ever broke up with them. Now, I understand where you're coming from, though.
I had that. I actually had that.
Can I kind of like rebut just a couple of things that you're saying?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the first one being, I brought in the gang culture because that influences not only Black America, that influences America. But the point that I'm really trying to make, and I agree with you, but the point that I'm trying to make is that when you're dealing with a female that is brought up to dominate, and you bringing up a boy that has not been brought up to have his true place in the world, that's what I'm speaking to. I get what you're saying that, hey, yeah, a man should put her aside if she's not fulfilling her role. The problem is these dudes that have grown up, that's why they're struggling, because they not only do they not know what their role is, they don't know what the woman's role is. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I totally get that, and I definitely agree with that sentiment, and that's why I'm saying Black women aren't strong, because when you can't raise your children to operate properly in society, that is proof of your weakness. So you saying that, because I definitely agree with what you're saying, the one you just laid it out right there, I totally get you on that one. But that's proof that they weak. Because you got a daughter that's trying to dominate a man, and a man that don't know he's supposed to be dominant. You got to be a weak mama for that to happen.
But what if the man? What if the father's not there? Hey, don't get me wrong, man. I see what you're saying. If the father's not there, she's supposed to get the job done regardless. Yeah, I see what you're saying, man. But for me, I can't put the onus on the woman always, because
if she raised the children, how is it not on her? She raised them.
It's on her, because hopefully we would think that the man would be present in the woman's life.
If she raised them and the man ain't there, who is the onus on?
The onus on her, but that's because you got. That's just like saying, "Hey, if I
That's
get stranded on an island,
brother, that's where it stops. In real life, you got to deal with problems that are presented to you. As a woman, you don't have to raise children by yourself. If you decide to put yourself in that position, you need to perform at a high level to make sure you still get the proper results. If you don't do it, you are a failure because of you and no one else. You don't get to have an excuse.
Okay, I'm not even trying to give an excuse. What I'm trying to present is what logically has happened. For example, if I have one person in a household when typically it's supposed to be two, a man and a woman, and then that person leaves and it's just this woman, then that means she's left to her own resolve, meaning that we already know that for a great extent women are not logical.
Brother, when do black men leave?
What?
When do black men leave? How many women have you broken up with?
When I was dating, I broke up with a number of them. But that,
okay.
but
no. Hold on. Now you say you broke up with a lot of them. Now you got male friends that you've known your life. Have they broken up with a bunch of women?
I mean, I don't get into other folks' business. So
bro, black men don't break up in general. We never break up in general.
Really?
We always with a woman till she calls it off.
Really?
So if you have children, yes, you need to research some stuff, brother, if you don't know this. So truth be told, the only reason she's not with her man is because she left, not the man. When have you ever seen a man leave some woman and his children? What man left his house that he was living in with women and his children?
Shit, my father did.
How you know that?
Because that's what I grew up in. Meaning that my mom.
Did your father tell you?
You asked me a question. Let me
finish. Your father tell you?
What's that?
Did your father tell you that's what happened?
When I interact with him, he said what he told me was, "Hey, it was wrong that I left your mom." That's what he told me, and that was decades later. He didn't want to discuss. He really didn't get into it.
Of course, and that's where black men mess up. We always trying to protect some woman's reputation instead of just telling kids what the truth is.
Nah, I'm on this particular situation, and just talking about my situation, I'm gonna have to say you 100% wrong. Why? Because my parents divorced when I was maybe 2 or 3. I got a sister that's 2 years older, but I didn't meet him till I was 22. The point I'm getting at is for the next 5 to 7 years, I would travel to where he happened to be at least 2-3 times a year. Literally, I wound up spending time with his mom, my grandma, because even when I was there, he would leave and go carouse with other women. So in terms of this situation, I got to let you know you're wrong on that. You might be right about others.
I'm gonna tell you how
let me jump into this one.
I'm gonna tell you how I know I'm not wrong. Because you just said that they was married. Your mother married a man that she was unwilling to follow. She was wrong automatically. You just told me they was married. No, you just told me they was married. She married a man that she wouldn't follow.
What do you mean she wouldn't follow?
If she married a man and had children with said man in a marriage, that was the man she chose. When you are a woman, you're supposed to pick the man that's going to lead you for your life. That's what a marriage is about. And she didn't do it.
No, he left. He left the household.
Why did your mother say?
You know what? I don't even want to make it an argument, so we'll just say in this particular case. I'm saying in your particular case. I'm just saying in your particular case, we don't accept that he left. This is basically an unheard of thing in Black America, though, because men don't leave. So we're gonna say yours was the exception to the rule, just so we can get past, because it's your dad. So we ain't gonna even make it an issue. That was your dad. So maybe your dad was the exception to the rule. But if you actually pay attention to Black America, black men don't break up with nobody. The average black man has never broken up with a woman in his life.
You may be right about that. I'm not sure. And don't get me wrong, man. I'm not trying to put my mom on no pedestal because my mom is let me finish.
The thing is, I don't want to make it about your parents because they're yours. At the end of the day, we can't say you're wrong about what's going on with your life with your parents.
Yeah, but I'm just putting it out there because this is all of a conversation to help all of us. Because my mom is a narcissistic personality. I'm not making her into no queen, man. I mean, I'm just trying to put it out so we can all be real, so that we can all hopefully help each other heal, because that's all been stress in all our lives, you know, mine included. But and that's all I'm putting out there, really. You know, it's just to kind of balance. Because for me, I grew up in that household. I grew in a household where my grandmother would try to trick me to do shit so she could beat my ass, you know. But I always thought stuff out, and I could get around that, and I could maneuver my way through it. So I'm not trying to say they supreme. I'm just saying that we're all at fault in terms of what has happened. We've been influenced by this Eurocentric society, this Eurocentric culture that we kind of bought into, and we were at our strongest, in my opinion, when we were separated apart from it. So there are a lot of influences that are going on that some people may or may not be conscious with. We can even look at how the black church used to be fundamental. Now the black church is basically all but dysfunctional. So
okay. But this is the thing. There is no balance to seek. Anything that operates well, there is no balance. Everything that works well has a head. The fact that we even want a balance means we're retarded to a certain degree, because we're looking for something that admits failure on a regular basis. When you think about a hospital, somebody's the head. Think about a major corporation that's successful. Microsoft, for instance, there's a head. Everything successful has a head. A successful church has a head.
That's the
successful
balance.
school has a head.
That's
There's
the balance.
no balance.
No, you don't understand what I'm saying. When you have that structure, that's your balance, because you know what the head is. That doesn't make you retarded. Retarded means that you don't understand what balance consists of. Balance consists of everything working in harmony, and you can have a head that is the head of that, but it means there's a balance there.
Okay,
balance don't
balance
don't mean we 50-50, man. Balance means that we can come together, we can have a head, but we understand that, hey, we are in this cohesively because we understand this is what works for us and this is the balance.
So somebody has to be dominant. That's why they're the head.
That's the balance. Yes.
Dominance and balance don't mean the same thing.
Balance means that you are fine with what's going on in that particular situation.
That's accepting. I give you that, but the word balance and the word dominance definitely don't mean the same thing. We can't change them, meaning the words to make ourselves comfortable.
Well, it depends.
Somebody
on how
has
you
to
see
dominate.
it. Okay, let me put it to you this way. If we're out in nature.
Well, hold on. Real quick. Is there any other gentleman on this panel that believes dominance and balance is the same thing?
I didn't say the same thing.
Do the other gentlemen understand? Hold on, I'm gonna rephrase. Do other gentlemen on this panel believe that you can have dominance that is, well, is dominance the opposite of balance? I'll say it like that.
No.
It's not the same.
Not the same.
Okay, I didn't say they were the same. This is what I'm saying, man. Like, we can look at a pride of lions out in the wild. With that one line leading, that's their balance, meaning that they're working together to form a harmony. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't have somebody that's dominant. You're going to have that regardless. All I'm saying is, you, even in a household, you have to find out, even with that dominant leader, you have to find out if this is something that you accept, so you'll be in harmony with it, in balance with it.
I get the harmony. You know what I'm saying? I do get the harmony. I'm not rocking with the balance word. But I believe you mean, if you were talking about balance and harmony at the same thing, I get where you're coming from. But I'm going to say this. Because, like I said, I can't really argue about your parents, but you already gave me enough information. When you said your mother was a narcissist, your father might be one of those men that just gave up. I done tried to work with her. I can't work with her. I'm giving up. And he might have actually left. And because I do know that does happen in rare cases, that a black man would just simply give up. And I think your father gave up. You know?
And you may be right. Now, I'm saying now, I definitely know she was narcissistic with me. I don't know about their relationship. You see what I'm saying? So I'm my point is, I can't judge her, because, man, what happens a lot of times when that father leaves or whatever happens, if you got a young man or a young son coming up, sometimes that woman will subconsciously take out onto him what she might have wanted to take out on the husband. So
that does happen, but I'm gonna say when it comes down to it, most fathers don't leave. Most fathers are asked to leave if they got to leave the same house. It comes in the form of a divorce, or if they're in a relationship, she will call the police. The man gets hits with papers and saying he can't come into 1,000 feet of her and stuff like that. Men don't leave; they're forced to
You know
go.
what? You know what, brother? I'm gonna take you at that because you know what? You're right. Because 70% of all divorces, even currently, are initiated by the woman. So I can see that. I can see that.
So, but my thing is this:
Here's another thing that I want to
once you
kind
do
of.
that, let me just say real quick, Inspired Truth, then you got it. Once you do that though, and
All right.
you got the kids, at the end of the day, you're responsible for how them kids came out. So when the child is 18 and an adult, or whenever they become grown, because I'm not saying 18 is necessarily grown, that's an adult. Grown is when you leave your parents' home and start forging in the world on your own. Where you go get your own place, maybe your own apartment, maybe you get it with a roommate, whatever case. That's when you become grown. When taking care of yourself is on you. When kids become grown, whatever age it happens, and they have to relearn how to operate in society because their parents didn't give it to them, that is the mark of a failed parent. And that's what normally happens when Black women raise children, which is why I'm saying they are not strong. Because I shouldn't have to relearn stuff because my mama should have prepared me. She was the one raising me. Why didn't she prepare me? But go ahead, Inspire.
The thing that gets me is that we always seem to find ourselves dealing with a whole lot of repetition of the exception presented as the rule. Like such is the case with all this whole thing about the criminality. Like we kind of like heard the beginning of this kind of discussion with this gentleman kind of went at first with like, oh, the gang culture. And we see presented often that, oh, okay, Black men are highly involved in criminality and that we're all in prison and stuff like that. It's like 2%. It's 2% of us. You have to ignore 98% of Black men before you can actually get into a relationship with a Black man that's actually in prison. But that's kind of something that ends up getting pushed as some sort of big narrative that everybody ends up putting in their head to where they associate all of us with criminality. Same thing with deadbeat dads. That thing gets kind of pushed over and over and over again when that's another thing that's an exception to the rule. Like you mentioned before, like the majority of divorces, those are initiated by women. It's not men that are actually in mass trying to lead their families like that. And we got to do something to stop this.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not. I'm
we got to
definitely not.
stop the narrative that men are leaving women. It's women are most of the. If you look at the polls and studies, it is women who are initiating the divorce and everything else, and they're doing it out of they're doing it because of the so-called irreconcilable differences and all that type of stuff. Well, what is it? It's because I want to have my peace and everything else. I don't want to be a slave. That's the narrative that I hear all the time.
It's about simple feelings and
not.
permanent action.
That just means you be a whore. That's the only thing that is telling you. Because when they are under a man, they under the structure, and they don't want to have no structure, and that's the only thing that they be fighting against the man about. A man telling them not to wear a short skirt, or telling them not to go out with this friend or that friend because it's dangerous, and they take that as they don't want to be up under your structure because they don't want to say that you're leading them. They say they want to lead it, but they don't want to actually let nobody lead. It's all they go on.
Yeah, but that goes back to the reality that, and I get what my man's saying, hey, that they failed in terms of raising this. This is the reality, man, when I look at it for me. And don't get me wrong, man. Hey, I love my brothers. I love my sisters. But I know for a fact, and this ain't really a Black problem. It's an American problem. Your typical dude walking around here, for the most part, is living his life as if he were a 14-year-old girl. And what I mean is, dudes don't, your typical dude, we don't even get out and do what we used to do, meaning that what we used to fix stuff. You know, because we get to a point in time when you talk about inflation, wages not keeping up with inflation. If you can't learn how to do stuff on your own and take care of your own, you ain't gonna make it out here. And that's what we did previous to this, and that's why I believe women have more respect for us.
Brother, I get what you're saying, but you trying to veer too far off the subject of the show. The truth is, if a black man won't get himself together in American society, he's only gonna end up in three places. He's gonna either be dead, he's gonna end up in the graveyard, he'll either be, or he's gonna be in prison, or he's gonna be homeless. And that's it. Ain't nothing out here special for black men. So at the end of the day, what you're doing, and I know that's not what you're trying to do, you're just simply making excuses for women. Bro, there is no excuse. They're not strong people. They fail at a lot of basic stuff that they should be able to do as women. And it ain't no man's fault that a woman operates how she wants to. We are in a society where you do have freedom. You can't blame what somebody does with their freedom on some other person that doesn't control them. We don't control women. So we can't take the blame for what they're doing with their freedom.
Yeah, there's a saying for that. Like, if you have responsibility, but you don't have power, that's slavery. You're responsible for this thing. You have no power to control the thing. All you can do is just take the blame for it.
Yeah, I'm not disputing what you're saying. I actually agree with what you're saying. It's just, for me, my background, I always just put the onus on me. Why? Because the only thing that matters to me isn't necessarily what a person does. It's my reaction to what they do, what they may do. Hey, we get it. We get it. A lot of women are parading around here trying to pretend like they're strong. Man, we know they broke. We know we know all this is propaganda when they put out here that they're the most educated group ever. How can the hell you be educated? Are you a physicist? Okay, did you take chemistry? Hey, did you? What do you do? No, most of those degrees, man, are like either from humanitarian, humanities or education. I'm not knocking those areas. I'm not. So my point is, those people that we're talking about, they've been hoodwinked themselves, but there's a lot of false pride in there. So I'm not even trying to defend them. I try to understand the dynamics that come into play that might have put them in that situation, and then I can determine even whether or not I want to deal with them. Because we all know they've been hoodwinked, but their false pride is causing them to continue this downward spiral. You can look at what's going on. They rolled them up high, gave them all these loans. You know, now look at what's going on in the media right now. You got Fannie Hamer down in Georgia that they pretty much disgraced. You got Latia James up in New York that now they're kicking all the cases out against Trump. Now you got the Fed, one of the co-Fed at the Federal Reserves. I'm forgetting her name. Trump is about to kick her out. My point is, in our culture, they ride people up only so they can tear them down. But we're dealing with a segment of this culture, black population, that they don't understand that they have been hoodwinked and bamboozled.
Well, let me drop something to you real quick. What if they do understand? See, we as black men, we take this, I'm going to say, arrogant approach that they can't figure out the stuff we figure out. They know. They just like it. We've been hoodwinked to thinking that they don't know. And I'm not saying that's just you. A lot of men normally start off saying what black women don't understand. I didn't say it myself. But I know that's stupid. How do they live in the same society I live in and they can't figure out the stuff I figure out? I ain't no rocket scientist either.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you why. And don't get me wrong, that's a valid point. That's a very valid point. But also we got to look at the society in whole, especially I'm gonna talk specifically black society. Meaning that you got people that will continue to do things that is basically goes against their own best benefit. For example, you got people out here that would vote Republican and they don't understand that, hey, over 60% of the people on welfare are white people. They don't understand that the vast majority of people that are receiving Medicaid and Medicare. What I'm getting at is you can be in such a downward spiral until because man, I'm gonna be real with you. We just take it for one. This is why I say they struggle with that reality. Why? Number one, in general, women don't want to be held accountable. Number two, they lack any type of deductive reasoning or any type of logic. They can't. They think in the present tense. They don't think long term for the most part. They do not. They don't think down the road and try to figure out, hey, it's cool what I'm doing now, but hey, what about 5, 10, 15 years from now? So my point is, if I know a person has that, and I'm not saying they're not manipulative. My favorite phrase is, dudes are dumb, but women are deceptive. So maybe they have figured it out. But what I'm still saying is, whether they have or they haven't, we as men, we still have to protect ourselves regardless of if they figured it out or not. That's where I'm really coming from.
But it sounds like I'm gonna get ready to go. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go because I gotta leave. But I appreciate you having me. Up, man.
Matter of fact, hold on before you even say it, because we are past the 3-hour mark. I'm finna randomly give you the last word on the show, and we gonna shut it down. Now, if y'all want to still talk after the show is over, of course y'all can. I'm gonna do my little outro for you new people or whatever. I'm gonna do my little outro. If y'all want to talk backstage, that's fine. But we finna close this down because I do a 3-hour show. We are well past the 3-hour mark, and whatever you say, hey, this is just what it's gonna be. Go ahead.
Yeah, and my thing is that we gotta stop sugarcoating the world for the women, because it's what I've been seeing over these last 10, 15 years is that it only puts us in a bad spot. It doesn't help the men at all, and we keep on trying to sugarcoat words, we sugarcoat language, we sugarcoat how they, like with the Shakar Richardson thing, men saying that if it was the other way around, it's okay. Like, we gotta stop doing it, because it's only thing it's doing is hurting our boys that's coming up after us. And that's what I'm laying there. I appreciate you having me on, bro.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, both of you gentlemen. Both of you are welcome back to come to future shows. I hope y'all subscribe to the channel, and y'all hit the like, y'all. Everybody, if you haven't hit the like already, go hit the like. We do this at 9 a.m. Chicago time, Monday through Friday. For people who don't know, everybody subscribe, hit the like. That was the last word, so I ain't gonna even say something myself. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right, and I'm out.